Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday, folks. Happy Thursday. Hello. Hello. Oh my God. In your groove just subscribed. Thank you for resubscribing to Prime. Thank you, in your groove. Hello. By the way, guys, you can do that for free if you have Amazon Prime. You can subscribe to me for free on every month. Oh, excuse me. Oh, that was gross. Hello, everyone. Let me see. Let me see who we have here. Let me see who we got here for this Thursday. Such bad news everywhere, guys. It's great. I'm so excited. Don't worry, we'll keep it light. We'll keep it nice and light and talk about all the evil and horror in the world. But don't worry, we'll have fun doing it. I think. I think. SoCal, hello, SoCal. Hello, SoCal. How are you doing, SoCal? How's everything going? So glad you're here. Um, James Nordoff, hello, James Nordoff. Hello, James Nordoff. So glad you're here, James Nordoff. So glad you're here, as always. Yes, hi, SoCal. Hi. Okay. Toss the jester a tweet. You mean a like or something? What do you mean by that, SoCal? What do you mean? What's the bird mean? Okay. You're trying to flip me the bird? Is that what that means? Anyway, okay. Hello, Mayflower Kid. Mayflower Kid says, as the jester's traveling entertainer, I sarcastically request a bonk of the like button for entry. I approve of that, Mayflower Kid. Yes, please. If you're over on YouTube, folks, please hit the like button. That'd be very helpful to me. Thank you. That'd be very helpful. Thank you, Mayflower Kid. Okay, it definitely requires a bonk, not a boot. Probably Mayflower Kid for sure. Okay, definitely. All right. We have SoCal says, SoCal says, so the Supreme Court hates black people. What else is new? The biggest culprit of that hate is none other than Clarence Thomas. Oh, that's for sure, SoCal. Yes, they definitely hate black people. Okay, but I mean, we already knew that. Historically, we've known that, right? But I felt like I should emphasize that in today's title, given what happened. That's sort of a phrased way, a nice way of putting it, okay? Because there's certain things I can't say in the title, so I tried to make it nice, okay? They hate black people. There's probably other words I could use, um, given how much they dislike them. All right, in your groove, hello in your groove, hello in your groove. So glad you're here in your groove. Thank you, in your groove. Always so glad you're here. Super Creeper Bat is back. Super Creeper Bat is back. So glad you're here, Super Creeper Bat. Our great friend over there on Discord. So glad you're here. Cody is here. Cody is here, bringing back the cheeseburger cult. Hello, Cody. Hello, Cody. So glad you're here. All right. Mayflower Kid, that's why he says teached always past tense. Yeah, I guess I'm not teaching anymore. Huh. Gwen, thanks for being here. Please hit the like and subscribe. See the link pinned at the top of the chat in our Discord. Tip our kind jester or subscribe to our YouTube. Oh, thank you, Gwen. You're so kind. Really, thank you. Thank you guys for helping me out by reminding people in here to do that. Thank you. Thank you, Gwen. Of course. Thank you. Elevator Lady. Hello, Elevator Lady. Elevator's here. We had a lovely book club meeting yesterday. Everyone should join the book club. They should also join the gaming club. Please join the gaming club. So Bright Love has more people in there. Okay. What else we got here? LaCroix's here. LaCroix says 4 months of revolting. Oh my God, LaCroix, you've been in here forever, haven't you? So glad you're here, LaCroix, as always. All right. What else we got here? Super Creeper Bat Wave. Shit, that's not the search. I do that all the time, Super Creeper Bat. Dubois, hello. Hello, Dubois. Dubois says, I'm sorry that I can't remember your name, but who is the other Minnesotan here that will vote in November? I don't know, Dubois. Would someone let Dubois know that? Let's see here. Lurking Snow Leopard is here doing Lurking Snow Leopard's little bird dance. So glad you're here, Lurking Snow Leopard. Okay, I know Trump failed. So Trump failed. You're an Uber driver or some sort of gig transport driver, right? Yeah, I'm sure you're getting killed at the pump because gas hit a new record today. Yay! Nothing's going wrong in the world. Everything is perfect. Nothing to complain about. Okay. Hello, Trump failed. Louise is here. Hello, Louise. Hello, Louise. Okay, so glad you're here, Louise. Louise has been here since like the very beginning, I swear. I'm not quite sure who amongst you was first, but it's definitely Louise is in the top, is like one of the top ones. I don't know which of you was first. It was either Alyssa, Lee Lane, or Louise. It might have been all three of you. It may have been Louise. I'm not sure. But regardless, Louise has been here forever. Okay. Okay. Hello, ZK. Hello, hi, CR. My local cafe reopened from their break. I can get iced Americanos again. Yay, Super Creeper Bat. That's fantastic. All right. Okay. Who else? Cody's here. The cheeseburger cult will make its return. I doubt it. Okay. Um, let's see here. I'm gonna crush it. Okay, Le Croix Bois. They can't be racist. They have a black guy. Yeah, that's yeah. Of course, they always have the token shit. And then Gwen said they have black friends. Yeah, of course. All right, you know. Okay. Matt Saigai here. Hello, Matt Saigai. I am acknowledging you, Matt Saigai. How dare you? Hello, Matt Saigai. So glad you're here, Matt Saigai. Of course. Of course, Matt Saigai. So glad you're here. All right. All right. It may have been you, Louise. Actually, it literally may have been you. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, but Matt Saigai, Louise has been here since like the first stream. I'm pretty sure Louise was here in the very first stream. So you failed, Matt Saigai. Okay, you failed. All right. Okay. Mayflower Kid reading the shock doctrine. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Fuck you, Matt Saigai. Okay. Look, I've already cursed. See, Matt Saigai always leads me to curse almost immediately. Damn you, Matt Saigai. All right. God damn you. All right. Anyway, I love you all very much. So we have a lot to talk about, obviously. Not all of it's great. Not all of it's great, but what do you expect, really? At this point, what really do you expect? I know I don't expect much. But still, we have to have revolutionary optimism, so let's try our best, despite the horrors all around us. Yeah, Cody, you've been here for a while, too. A lot of you have been here forever, okay? Um, okay, wait, I'm sorry. Did people donate? Forgive me. I'm like, Matt Saigai, thank you so much for the donation. My apologies, Matt Saigai. Thank you so much for the donation, the 200 bits there. Deeply appreciate it. Le Croix Bois, resubscribe. Thank you for that. And so didn't I see In Your Groove also resubscribe? Or am I going crazy? Well, in any case, thank you everyone who resubscribed, etc. Yes, In Your Groove also subscribed. So thank you everyone who subscribed, etc. Deeply appreciate it. Would deeply help. Would deeply appreciate people who subscribe on Twitch using Amazon Prime or just the regular method. You don't have to see ads anymore if you do that. If you're over on YouTube, you can become a member for as little as about $1 a month, and you get access to cute little jester hats next to your name and members only emojis. So you can do that as well. Anything to support me, please, if you do not mind. We have right beneath my hand here is a QR code. I wonder where Sir Bart is. I haven't seen Sir Bart recently. I hope Sir Bart's okay. Right beneath my staff here is a QR code. You can use that to get to you can use that to go to buy me a coffee, in which case you can buy me a coffee either anonymously or not. If you send me $5 or more, I'll send you a personalized video response if I can figure out how to make it work, because I haven't been able to. So in theory, you're supposed to get a personalized video response. Regardless, any way you help would be very much appreciated. Is that true, Matt Saigai? I can't remember. Okay. All right, you guys. So we have a lot to talk about. We have a lot to talk about. So obviously we have some disastrous news. That's an understatement. Nothing to worry about. So virtual violence is here. Hello, virtual violence. Welcome back, virtual violence. Okay, so let's talk, guys. Let's talk. So we're going to do a few things today. We have a few things to talk about here. I have a few longer videos that we're going to be watching. Okay. A few long-term videos, longer videos we're going to be watching as well. That I wanted to watch with all of you. We're going to have a very brief, this is all it is, this brief little presentation on the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And we have several news items to talk about. Okay, so let's do that. Where's my face? Who the hell if I know? Where's my face? Okay. News related to something like cute doggo. Don't worry, Cody. I have a cute little animal thing to show all of you, okay? So let's see here. When are you updating the jester hats for your long termers? I don't know, Zocal. I'll have to get on that. I'll try to remember to do it. I've been like doing so much, but yes, I'll try to remember when to do it. I'll try to remember to do it, Zocal. Okay. Okay. So let's talk, right? First of all, all right. First of all, let's just talk about a couple things before we get to the actually, let's talk about the horrific news first. I mean, it's all horrific news, really. The first bit of horrific news is this. The Supreme Court made a disastrous opinion. Is having a disastrous take. Okay, let's put it that way. So let's actually to make this easier, I prepared I have a brief video
Welcome to the
from PBS about what happened so that you guys can hear about it. We can talk about it. This happened in the United States, of course, but it's, it's very bad. Okay. So let's watch this. Let's watch this and see what it is, and you'll see the horror behind it, and then I'll briefly explain it. Okay. I'll briefly explain what this is about after we watch this video. Okay, so here we go.
NewsHour. The U.S. Supreme Court today struck down one of Louisiana's majority black congressional districts, a decision that weakens key protections under the Voting Rights Act. In a 6-3 ruling, the court's
Yeah,
conservative
let's watch.
majority found that Louisiana's 6th district, which links black communities across the state, relied too heavily on race in its design.
Writing. Okay, now, I know I'm pausing it there. So the Supreme Court has ruled that. So this is complicated, all right? In the United States, we have something called gerrymandering. Okay, gerrymandering is where you basically. So okay, let me show you a picture here. Here is Louisiana, which is an American state, obviously, and these are the different congressional districts. What does that mean? Well, so there you see they're numbered. There's 1, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 and 2 in the middle. Okay. These are areas that elect certain representatives to Congress. So, for example, 5 has one rep that they send to Congress, okay, for the House of Representatives. 4 has one representative, and it's loosely based off population. There's a similar number of people within each of these areas, okay? Now, how do you decide? So, how do these states decide what areas each of these districts cover? Well, the problem with this is that it's a political process by which you have a committee who's typically mainly majority. The majority party is overwhelmingly represented on the committee, who then draws these district lines. And what this allows them to do is something called gerrymander, where they can try and make districts favor them politically and make it really hard for the other party to get any reps. So, in 2022, these were Louisiana's districts. If you look here, there's only one district, and look at that. That is the most weirdly drawn district I've ever seen in my life. Right here, that's the blue one. That is a district that the Republicans drew, where they tried to put in as many Democrats as possible, so that they'd own, excuse me, as many Black Americans as possible, so that they'd only get one Democratic rep out of when they vote. The rest of the state was made to be almost impossible for Black people to be represented in the vote. So all these other districts have Black people in them, but they made sure that Black people were a very small group in all of these districts, so they would never win an election, but when they vote for Democrats. Okay. So that was in 2022. A court ruled that that was unconstitutional and that it violated the Constitution because it is clearly trying to prevent Black people from being able to have their voices heard, which is, if you know the history of the South, is exactly what they've always done. So instead, Louisiana made this map, which at least created a second Black district. Okay. So it created at least 2 districts that were majority Black with separate reps. So it gave, I guess, Black Americans one more rep. Okay. Or Democrats in the state, one more rep, mainly Black. Okay. So it still wasn't great. Well, the Supreme Court basically just ruled that you can't do that. You can't create a fairer map focused on race, essentially. Okay, so yeah, they basically have said that this is unconstitutional. You can't just you can't ensure that Black people have fairer representation. Uh, and the reason that this one was illegal was because of something called the Voting Rights Act, which was passed because of Martin Luther King, well, because of the Civil Rights era. It was the most important piece of legislation that came out of the Civil Rights era was the Voting Rights Act, and the Supreme Court has essentially dismantled one of the key provisions of that act. We are going right back to before the Civil Rights Movement in a lot of ways. Not exactly, but in a lot of ways. It is disastrous, okay? Because now Louisiana can just completely make horribly racist maps that prevent Black people from getting any representation. And what we're already seeing happen, guys, is that there's going to be far fewer Democrats elected now because it's going to be impossible for Democrats to get elected. Florida is doing the same thing. Here, where'd I put the map of Florida? Oh, there it is. Florida, by the way, is doing the same thing. They, under Ron DeSantis, are redrawing their districts to look like this. So they've drawn the maps in a way where there's only 4 Democratic districts and like the vast majority of the rest of them Republican. Um, which has basically eliminating a bunch of seats that are reliably Democratic and making them Republican by how they're drawing them. So the Republicans are actively using gerrymandering to destroy democracy, okay, which it was already gone, but they're making it worse. And I said a few days ago that this is that the polls were looking pretty good for Democrats. I don't know anymore because it's not might not even be possible for the Democrats to take over now because these states have been so gerrymandered to hell. There's going to be a lot more Republican reps. So the Republicans, as always, when threatened with losing out the ballot box, when threatened to lose at the ballot box, instead of changing policies, they try to limit democracy. Okay. The big thing here, of course, is that it is very racist and it is racially gerrymandered. Okay. So let's go on and keep watching this.
For the majority, Justice Samuel Alito called the map an unconstitutional gerrymander. The decision could open the door to broader legal challenges over majority Black and Latino districts across the country and give states new latitude to redraw maps in ways that could shift the balance of political power. Louisiana Democratic Congressman Troy Carter said the impact of the ruling will extend far beyond his state.
This is about our democracy. And I implore everyone who's out there to
Mithril, here's your answer. These are the corpo Dems.
recognize that if you care about justice, freedom, and fair elections, you should be as upset as we are.
Oh,
We are joined now by Amy Howe, NewsHour Supreme Court analyst and co-founder of SCOTUS blog, and Amy Walter of the Cook Political Report with Amy Walter. It's great to have the both of you here. So Amy Howe, we'll start with you. The Voting Rights Act of 1965, long been considered a cornerstone of protections against racial discrimination in voting, passed during the height of the Civil Rights Movement, expanded by Congress thereafter. Given that history, help us understand exactly what the court ruled today.
So the court did 2 things. First, as the introduction suggested, it struck down this map that Louisiana drew.
Gray Art, you're 100% correct. Gray Art says, hey, Revolt in chat, this is so bad. They're trying to roll back to 1950s racism and segregation. Where are the checks and balances? Are we actually taken over by a whole authoritarian alt-right cult? Gray Art, we are. We are taken over by an alt-right authoritarian cult. This is an absolutely disastrous decision, and as a historian, it blows my mind, okay? It is like returning to the past, and it's insane to me. Now, I don't know. Now, this is complicated. Well, we'll talk more about it, okay?
In 2024, that created a second majority Black district in Louisiana, and it had done that in response to a court ruling in a case that had been brought by Black voters, arguing that Louisiana had violated the Voting Rights Act when it drew a map in 2022 because that map only had one majority Black district. And those voters said that Louisiana had diluted their votes.
Now, Gray, I want to point out, so Gray says, so we are living in times where voting won't matter, where anything can happen at any time. Yeah. Now, I will say this, Gray Art. Our voting really never mattered that much to begin with. Okay, I don't mean to be an asshole here, but that is the case, okay? But what is particularly bad about this is that how explicitly racist it is and how it is targeted racism. Okay, it is meant pretty obviously to prevent Black folks from voting. Which is just horrific, and it's so obvious. Okay, but yes. Now, admittedly, guys, I don't mean to say that this is like no different than the past because our voting never counted. No. This is significantly worse, okay? Because it just is. Black folks can't defend themselves at all. And by the way, Black districts typically elect Black reps. And it's less likely that a Black reps in Congress will do things like, I don't know, throw Black people into concentration camps. That'd be very unlikely, right? So by having fewer Black reps, that also means there's more likelihood that Congress will be able to do worse things to Black people in the future. If that makes sense. Okay, this is complicated, but it's not good. Obviously, it's horrific.
They had cracked and packed. The voting rights terminology goes black voters. And so it struck the 2024 map down, which was intended to address the Voting Rights Act violation. Yeah. And then in the process of getting to that conclusion, the court articulated a new test, or as Justice Samuel Alito put it, writing for the majority, updated its old test. For determining,
updated its old test, because the Supreme Court, guys, is claiming that racism is done it's gone. It's no longer a problem in the United States. That's not true. Obviously, right? We know that, right?
Whether or not a violation of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, which prohibits discrimination on the basis of race in voting, exists. And it said if plaintiffs want to allege that there is a violation of Section 2, they need to show that there is intentional discrimination on behalf of the state when it's drawing these kinds of maps.
And Amy, Walter, what's the political impact of all of this? We know that Texas and Virginia have implemented new, highly contested congressional maps. Florida, for instance, just passed a new congressional map today that could net them up to 4 more Republican seats. Yeah. What comes next?
Yeah, I think there's the short term and then the long term.
By the way, one of the points that the Supreme Court is making is that this is kind of racist against white people. That's kind of their idea. Is sort of like, if you make a district that's majority black, it'll mean all the white people there aren't able to get there, don't have a fair chance, which is so stupid. So goddamn stupid. There's so many stupid things about all this. Okay, so many stupid things about all this.
Short term, the timing of this decision is a little bit awkward for the 2026 midterms. Most states have already closed their candidate filings, so it's not possible to for candidates to just suddenly decide that they want to run. So if states are going to reopen redistricting,
yeah, by the way, guys, so Louisiana has already started their primary process of trying to choose reps, okay, for the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. They are now considering putting it on hold so that they have a chance to redraw the districts in a more racist way before the voting starts. So yeah, you can tell how much they want to try to rig the next election, because they're literally they might be putting on hold the voting they've already started and doing it over again with new districts to make sure that they don't have many Democrats elected. Yeah, right, Paul Squad.
We're going to have to move that deadline and in some cases maybe even move the primary. So the appetite from legislators and governors, we don't quite know where that is at this point. Right now, it seems like there are a couple of states that may be open to doing such a thing, either moving their deadlines or and bringing the legislature back. A state like Tennessee is being talked about a lot, which could net Republicans 1 seat. But I think the bigger picture here is...
I will say, this is PBS, and I know this is lib media, okay? If they're doing a good job talking about it generally, but I do not like how calm they are. Okay, I just want to point out this. I know that sounds dumb, but like they need to be a little bit less calm here. This is not a, it's kind of very dark what's happened. All right.
That the 2026 midterms unlikely to be as impacted by this decision as the 2028 election will be. There's little doubt that this opens the door now for governors and legislators in Republican states in the South, like Mississippi and Alabama. I mentioned South Carolina, to go in, redraw maps that
the most trash states in the union, in my opinion,
would take those what are now majority black Democratic districts.
Of course, Paul Squall, you know it.
And basically,
Paul Squall, you're speaking my language. I'm letting you just go off, King, but yeah.
Draw maps that have entirely Republican delegations.
Our team earlier today spoke with Janae Nelson, president of the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. That organization...
Okay. So you get the general idea here, guys, and this is not good. And so let me just show you something, all right? This is very much not good, okay? And as I just said, that some of these states are already planning to cancel their elections and to redo them so that they can make sure to benefit from these biased, racially gerrymandered maps. So L.A., okay. Yeah, following Supreme Court or I'm sorry, Louisiana Republicans weigh canceling U.S. primary elections. So they're literally thinking they might cancel them and do them over so that they can benefit from these new maps. Florida, well, I don't know if Florida's doing it. They may not have even started their primaries yet, but there's other states that are thinking about doing this as well. And that's like, I thank you for the gifted sub to virtual violence. And so let me just quickly explain this to you, okay? So this will do a brief little history thing. I know this is a shitty little presentation. So what is this Voting Rights Act of 1965? So prior to 1965, the Voting Rights Act 1965, there were all these barriers. It was, okay, so in the South at the time, in the Southern United States, it was technically illegal to limit voting for black people, okay? But the South found loopholes in this law that allowed them to limit voting rights for black people in tons of different ways. Okay. One of those ways was poll taxes, where they would force people who were going to the polls to pay a tax in order to be able to vote. That disproportionately affects black people. Okay. Obviously, because historically in the South, they've been economically impoverished and abused, which makes it a lot harder for them to afford that. Another thing they would do are literacy tests, which I'll talk about in a second. Okay, hello, Fetty Spaghetti. I'll talk about that in a second. And a third thing they would do is that if black people registered to vote, they would publish their names in newspapers and claimed it was celebrating them. But you know what might happen in the South if you have your name published in a newspaper showing that, showing that you're a black person who now has a right to vote. What do you think is going to happen? Okay, that's an intimidation and terror tactic, right? So the literacy test part here was sort of the big one. What would happen is that they said that when you came in to register to vote, you had to go to basically a government office, and there would be a government official there who could ask you a series of civic literacy questions. And that person who saw you could determine what those questions were. Okay. So there were a whole bunch of questions they could ask about anything in regards to politics in the state, and they got to decide what questions to ask you. Now, do you see what that might do? All these officials were white. So, of course, if they saw a black person come up, they would ask them the most difficult questions, the ones that they knew they couldn't get right. And as soon as they got one wrong, and you had to get 100% right on it, they would say, sorry, you can't register to vote. I'm going to show you a brief video here about how this worked and how it worked to limit the voting amongst black folks. All right. So let me show you here. And like in some cities, there would be only like a couple black people who were able to register to vote and the rest were white. Okay. So let me show you here. This is actually a clip from the movie Selma, which is good in a lot of ways. There are parts of the movie that could be better, but there are a few parts that are really good. This is one of the parts that's really good where they show Oprah Winfrey, by the way, is the actress. Not a big fan of Oprah Winfrey, but this is a great scene. It shows how this kind of played out when black men and women went to the voting office to register to vote.
You work for Mr. Dunn down at the rest home, ain't that right?
Yes, sir.
Wonder what old Dunn will say when I tell him one of his gals down here stirring a fuss.
I ain't stirring no fuss. I'm just here trying to register to vote.
Recite the Constitution's preamble. You know what a preamble is?
I want to punch him in the face.
We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union.
How many camp?
I know, guys. Okay, you guys can't understand his accent. I apologize. Yes, this is a very deep Southern accent. I apologize. So let me go back here. He basically was intimidating her. He's like, don't you work for this guy? And what do you think your manager will say when he finds out that you're down here at the voting office stirring up a fuss? And by stirring up a fuss, he means trying to register to vote as a black person. Okay. Then now he's doing the test where he's saying to her, recite the preamble to America's Constitution. So he wants her to have memorized the preamble and to recite it word for word. And he asked her in a condescending way. Do you know what a preamble is? Okay.
No fuss. I'm just here trying to register to vote.
Recite the Constitution's preamble. You know what a preamble is?
We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union.
How many county judges in Alabama?
67.
Name them.
So, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, okay? Denied. So, literally, said, okay, literally, had her say, yeah, I know, right, Matt Saigai? So, can you imagine how humiliating that is? And how, I mean, it's disgusting to do that. And that was what these southern districts were doing. They would ask questions like, name every single county court judge as soon as they saw that they were black, that were the people that were registered were black. Okay. So the Civil Rights Act of 1965 only ended up getting passed because of violent struggle. Okay. By violent struggle, I don't mean that people did violence. I mean that people experienced massive amounts of violence in order to get this passed. This is the biggest achievement of Martin Luther King's movement. Okay. This is the biggest achievement of the civil rights movement, was getting the Voting Rights Act passed. And the Voting Rights Act, the biggest, most important part of it was this section here, which said the following. No voting qualification or prerequisite to voting or standard practice or procedure shall be imposed or applied by any state or political subdivision to deny or abridge the right of any citizen of the United States to vote on account of race or color. So this law made it illegal for the states, southern states, to purposely discriminate against black people. And another provision of this law said that the federal government has a right to enforce this law. So if you don't listen to this law, the federal government can intervene and punish those states and enforce it by force if necessary. So it had teeth behind it. Initially, it had teeth behind it. Now, after this law was passed, the number of black districts in the South, black majority districts in the South, went from 2 to 60 overnight, practically. Okay, practically overnight. That is a massive sea change and shows you how important the law was for gaining black Americans representation in Congress. Okay, and that's the section they just overturned. And okay, literacy test video and reactions. Thank you, Trump failed. So that was the section they overturned. The Supreme Court did. Okay, or they limited it. And people died, guys, trying to get this law passed. It's a lot of people died trying to get this law passed. Not only black people died, although lots of black people did die trying to get this law passed. There were white folks. There were Jewish folks died. White folks died fighting to get this law passed. And now they're just like, get rid of it. It's gone. Matt Saigai, one thing I have learned is that no oppressed and or minority group is beyond becoming the oppressor. And when they, yeah, oh yeah, Matt Saigai, that's, yeah, human beings do shit. Okay, yeah, Gwen. So this is absolutely disastrous. And I know I have a smile because it's just, it's insane. Anyway, so yeah, that's what happened. Now, I am not a lawyer. I am not as smart as like Lacroix is. I do not know how we cannot fully predict what might happen because of this law, or what future legislation might come of it, or lawsuits might come of it. But in any account, it's very disastrous. All right, it's disastrous. So there you go. That is what has happened now in the United States. Is that all right? Let's see here. So they're calling this ruling Miller's Law. Of course they should, Mithril. They should call it. They should call it Miller's Law, because I have no doubt Stephen Miller loves this shit. Even though, of course, Stephen Miller's Jewish, he should be well aware that, guys, the Jewish community of the United States was one of the big reasons why the voting rights law got passed, because they were massive advocates for the rights of black people. Okay. There were tons of Jewish organizations and Jewish people who went to the South and protested next to black people, and several of them were killed or died. Okay. So anyway, Stephen Miller is a monster, of course. All right. So, yeah, art. Yeah. Oh my God. Yep. I can see this happening against us. Yep. I always vote no to retain judges. Good, Alyssa. All right. So this is the kind of horror now. Now I will say, guys, this might another thing that worries me here, guys, is that historically this has been done more in the South than in the North. Now it happens in the North, but not necessarily. It's not as racialized in the North, although it is still partially racialized in the North. But this happening now kind of opens the door to Republicans to apply the same standard to gerrymandering in the North and start doing explicitly racial gerrymanders in the North as well. All right. So it's horrific all around. So there we go. Okay. Someone else, thank you, whoever just followed. Thank you very much. All right. So that's the disastrous piece of information that we got today. Of course, there was more redlining and stuff in the North, Luke, but there was less racial gerrymandering, if that makes sense. Okay. All right. That doesn't mean the North is bad too, but not as bad as the South in a lot of ways. Okay. Okay. Of course it is, Mithril. It's the USACR. It's always been about race. Yeah. Yeah. Despite the sacrifices of people and the, everything else, we don't care. We don't respect the sacrifices of our ancestors. Of course we don't, right? Fuck it. That's kind of what this court's like. Screw it. All right. And I'm guessing Clarence Thomas, made the right decision here as a black man and said this is a racist, right? No, of course he didn't. He voted with the majority. Anyway, so that's horrific and terrible. Okay. In conclusion, it's just further proof, guys, we don't have a democracy. We do not have a democracy in this country. Can we stop acting like it's a democracy? Can we start acting like we want a democracy? That we want a democracy? This is no longer a question of who is the right person to elect, because we don't have a democracy. We don't. So we need to start acting like we don't have a democracy and try and create a democracy, if you know what I mean. Okay? All right. Can we put our mouth, can we put the reality where we all claim what we all claim to like? Okay. I know I might need to give Chamber Breaker a polish, Mithril. I got to tell you, I know what you mean. Okay. So anyway, these goddamn, you're right, Luke. The U.S. never wanted a democracy, but it used to be, weirdly enough, this is complicated. Yes, you're right. It never wanted a democracy. But it used to at least it used to try to do democracy for certain groups of people. Let's put it that way. Now it doesn't even try for anyone. Okay. This is complicated, but and by the way, it was never a great democracy to begin with. But it's definitely gotten a lot worse in some ways recently, but this is complicated, but all right. All right. What do you think would be better than democracy? No, nothing. I don't think there is much better than democracy, to be honest with you. Now, this is complicated. There are much better ways of doing democracy. Okay, let's put it that way. I don't think a lot of democracies are democratic at all. All right. Anyway, so we have a fake democracy. It's a plutocracy. So moving on. Trump failed. This is the same dude who said liberalism is a plague, which is funny. Because if it wasn't for liberalism, he would still be using separate water fountains. The same dude who said liberalism is a plague, which is funny. Yeah, of course Trump failed. Yes, okay, absolutely. I would actually go further. Trump failed. I don't think liberalism was the reason we have. Now, I know you're using liberalism, Trump failed, to indicate non-Republican right-wingers, okay? But Martin Luther King was a socialist. And Malcolm X was a socialist. The guy, one of the biggest advisors to Martin Luther King, was a gay communist. Part of the reasons we have the civil rights movement that was successful was because of far left socialists. As a matter of fact, the Martin Luther King famously said that the biggest threat he thought were white liberals, because he could not stand how white liberals favored a negative piece to positive disorder, as in that white liberals were so much more obsessed with like a stability and not upsetting the system that they were perfectly happy with massive injustice occurring. Okay, okay. Paul Squaw. Okay. Anyway, yes. Yeah, yes, but you're right. Okay, so like, but I know what you mean by liberals. You mean like Clarence Thomas doesn't know what a liberal is, so when he says it, he imagines like communist or whatever. Okay. Anyway, yeah, no, I knew it. I knew exactly what you meant. Trump failed. I did. So I'm just making sure. Yep. Okay. So there you go, guys. Isn't that fun? I love that for us. Moving on. Terrible shit. So that's what's happened, and it's a disaster, and this country is humiliating, and I'm humiliated. Okay, and everyone should be humiliated because I am humiliated. All right. I mean, not because I'm humiliated, because it's humiliating and it's evil. All right. Luke from Washington. As long as politics and the shadow cast on society by any big business, the attenuation of the shadow will not change the substance. Yep. Correct, Luke. Exactly. I love that. As long as politics is the shadow cast on society by big business, the attenuation of the shadow will not change the substance. Okay. And guys, for the people in here, I know we just talked about liberals. Guys, there are a lot of people who call themselves liberal who are actually farther left than that. There's misunderstanding about what the word liberal means. Okay, there's also people who call themselves liberal that are further right than that. So I think a lot of people who call themselves liberal are actually more socialist or more democratic socialist or more social democracy, which is sort of a form of which I guess is liberalism. So just some of the people in here who claim to be liberal might be more left wing than they think. Because in this country, we often confuse the phrase liberal, socialist, progress. Like, you see what I mean? I hate you so much, Paul School. I hate you so much. We in this country, we typically confuse the word liberal. We don't really understand what it means. Elevator lady, exactly. Okay, because technically, guys, elevator lady, you got it. Technically, both the Democrats and the Republicans are liberal. If you look at what the word means. Okay. Now, let me put it this way. Not anymore. The far right Republican Party is no longer liberal. It is a fascist party, and fascism is opposed to liberalism. But moderate, quote unquote, moderate Republicans, if that's such a thing, are liberals, and so are Democrats. Okay. So yeah, it's interesting. Okay, exactly, Trump failed. But typically in this country, when people say liberal, they imagine like left of center, which isn't really true. Okay. There you go, Jonas. I'm a lib like Sinai to gotcha. Okay. But that's it, it's kind of irrelevant. Okay. So Matt Saigai, you know what, Matt Saigai, that's a really good point. Matt Saigai does say, are they really liberals though? Liberals at least need to be socially left. Yeah, that's a good point, Matt Saigai. This is complicated. You're pointing out a good point here. So liberalism comes with the three values of the French Revolution. That's liberty, equality, and fraternity. Okay, this is complex. So there is a right-wing strain of liberalism that is more about fraternity and like having a unified country to promote the freedom of the country and stuff that I guess could be exclusionary towards minorities, but it's not like, and you're right. That's a fair point, Matt Saigai. Okay. Yeah. But I guess in words, they are more liberal, if that makes sense. Okay. It's complicated, but let's go on. And it's kind of an opinion-based thing. Okay. Yeah. Well, kind of, Matt Saigai, you are. All right. So anyway, yeah, exactly. It depends if you're talking about the electorate or elected officials. Okay. So let's go on here. All right. So that's fun, right? Yes, they call themselves classic liberals. Correct. There you go, LaQual. You guys, good. You guys know what you're talking about. All right. So let's go on to another piece of horrific news. Exactly, Mithril. Gavin Newsom's liberalism. Correct. Okay. Which is classical liberalism to some extent. Okay. So we have reached a new record. Yay. America, #1. Yay. America's #1. This, okay, I mean, this isn't an American record. It's a global record because of America. Yay. Thank you. Everyone from foreign countries should thank the glorious United States for providing this to you. And Americans should thank the glorious, best country in the world, United States, for this very big benefit to all of your lives. And that is that the cost of oil has now reached a new record, going above $120 a barrel, up to around $126 a barrel, which means that we are on the edge of disaster. Okay, because if I got you, elevator lady. That is true, elevator lady. Okay. Yeah, it's a world. There you go, Fox. It's a world record once it passes 127. Yay! So, guys, don't worry. Don't worry. You know, we got the racial gerrymandering thing going. Okay, so that's kind of cute, I guess. And then we got the, we have gas now at 126. If it stays at that high, for any extended period of time, we're cooked. We are cooked. Okay. Every economist will tell you that you will not, the planet will start having it's already having big problems. We'll start having even bigger problems if it stays above 120 for any extended period of time. Okay. This is disastrous. So you're welcome. God bless America. Anyway, so you're welcome, world. I love destroying the economy of the planet. Yay. Okay. In your groove, don't worry. We are selling our reserves to the, so we definitely won't see shortages. No, we won't, right? In your groove. So there you go. Okay. The record is 147. Okay. So, but still pretty bad, right? Still, I mean, that's fair. I didn't know that as SoCal, but 126 is pretty bad. Okay. So this isn't good, right? And if it does this for any extended period, we're screwed. Yay. By the way, there are already countries out there like the Philippines and Australia and what is it, Pakistan or Bangladesh, places in Europe are struggling. Okay, that their economies are already on rationing and things like that because they have like the Philippines is in dire straits. South Korea is in dire straits. So we are, America is suffering in that we have seen much higher gas prices, but there are other countries out there that are already in a dump because of this. So you can thank our Donald J. Trump and the imperialist and evil, the United States of America, in our illegal war of aggression against Iran for this lovely contribution to your lives. You're welcome, by the way. You're welcome. Boop, 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 boop. You're welcome. Okay. And zero problems with this. Okay. So you can see here the price of Brent crude continues to rise, and it's just going to get worse. It's just going to be worse. Yay. UK is stopping rent increases for a year due to the economy and fuel. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Mithril, the hottest economy is we're the hottest economy, right, Mithril? If he means hot as in it's burning in hell, that is accurate. Okay. So yeah. Yay. Yeah. So yeah. This is because of the blockade and stuff. Okay, that's right, Fox Emblem. Fox Emblem says, don't worry, the price of oil is redundant when you're starving. Woo, exactly. All right, so this is great. Hilarious, Jonas. Yeah, what do you mean? America produces the most oil and the effect of Hormuz because world economics doesn't apply. Right? No, Jonas, don't you know we're isolated? And so clearly, if everyone else falls down, we're not going to fall down because we're perfect. Of course we're going to fall down, right? And our oil prices are already through the roof. And admittedly, it's slower to affect us because we do produce a lot of oil, but it's already affecting us and it's going to get 1,000 times worse. Okay. Anyway, so virtual violence. Trump's solution to this is the oil equivalent of let them eat cake, right? Jesus. Yeah, right. There you go, Drusilla. Yay. Drusilla, how are fuel prices in Norway? I am curious about this. I'm just curious. We don't own the oil companies. No, we don't, Luke. The oil companies own it. And I should say that the oil companies are, can produce a lot, but that's not going to help us much, is it? So anyway, isn't that great? Nightfall, what'd you send us here? What'd you send us, Nightfall? I'll check real fast.
Hey, USA, what happened with you? Bro, someone voted here for something weird. Weird? What is it? What's the story? So in Minnesota, this lawmaker, Jessica Hansen, introduced a bill that would stop AI and any technology from turning people nude, including...
Okay. We'll watch this in a bit. I just wanted to see what it was to see if it's what we're talking about here. Okay, perfect. All right. So guys, okay. Now that we've highlighted these two disasters, okay, yeah, right, there you go in your groove. All this said, Congress's hot issue of the week is $400 million for the ballroom. Super important to have to fund that. Oh, of course, Of course in your groove, of course. So let me show you something else, guys. Let me show you something else. All right. On a side note, by the way, on a side note, to show you the other horrors happening in the world, there's an article by The Intercept talking about all the wars that Trump has been waging while he's been in office. You know, he's the peace president, right? He's the peace president. So he's the peace president, right? Well, it turns out that during his time in office, and you guys, a lot of times when America wages wars, there's shadow wars because they're not like all out. They're silent wars. Okay, they're wars that you don't see because it's just drone strikes or special forces on the ground. All right, this is like classic America. Empire is very violent. We like to think, guys, we like to think that empire having a single global superpower somehow makes everything more peaceful. Well, it might stop conflict between major powers, but it doesn't. It doesn't stop conflict overall. If anything, there's more violence because that empire always has to constantly beat down on people to keep control. So during Trump's time in office, the United States has been, Matt Saigai, why do you think I said that on the stream? Okay. I know that's why. This is why. Anyway, moving on. I shouldn't say that right here, but okay. The countries that Trump has had us at war with are as follows: Afghanistan, Central African Republic, Cameroon, Ecuador, Egypt, Iran, Iraq, Kenya, Lebanon, Libya, Mali, Nigeria, North Korea, Pakistan, Philippines, Somalia, Syria, Tunisia, Venezuela, Yemen, and an unspecified country in the Indo-Pacific region. Yay! The American government has been waging clandestine war of one form or another in all of these places. Okay? So, the peace president, we already knew he wasn't the peace president. Okay? And this doesn't count the countries that he has been bullying, including Panama, Canada, Colombia, Cuba, Greenland, Iceland, and Mexico. Yeah, you're right, Jonas. At least his hatred for countries is diverse, right? Yeah, right, Lacroix. And obviously, guys, the government will never admit that this is war, right? But this is war. I don't know what else you call it. A small war is still a war. A bombing campaign is still a war. And it is a sign of the times that when we do drone strikes in a foreign country, we don't view it as war, right? We view it as like, well, that's so normal. That's just a normal thing you do, right? You got to, as the Israelis say, you got to mow the lawn. You got to go kill a bunch of people somewhere once in a while to keep things in order. But that's not a war. That's just what we do. So just to be clear, all right? So that includes, by the way, drone strikes, ground raids, proxy wars, and full-scale conflicts, okay? Yeah. And 127E programs, which are CIA operations. So isn't that good? Okay. Love that for us. I love that. So that's just a side note. So, not really a side note. It's a very, so the reason I wanted to tell you about this, guys, because you know, guys, I always love talking about happy things. Yay, happy. When I heard of him bombing Somalia, I just wondered why. Who knows, Jonas? Probably because, I don't know. Who knows? Probably, I don't know. He probably found a reason. They always do. There are, okay. So in spite of all of this, let's now quickly, as I always tend to show you guys, for those who think that voting is still the way to go, or that voting is the only thing we need to do, and that's what we should always focus on is vote, 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 vote. I wanted to show you something, okay? Because
Ken Martin,
I know
thanks
I've
for
done
doing
this
this.
before. So, okay, I'm going to show you a clip, all right? So remember what I just told you. The Supreme Court just completely dismantled the the Voting Rights Act, okay, of 1965. I told you that we've been at war with 20 plus countries without, undeclared wars, of course. I mean, some of them are declared, but even then aren't legal. The oil is above 120, 120K, 120 in price. That's not good. That's no good. All of that is shit, right? This is a very popular liberal podcast. Okay, so I am saying it's liberal. Okay, these are corpo dems. The guy on the left, okay, the guy on the left here is, despite being a handsome man, in my opinion, anyway, is what's his name? His name is John Favreau, and he was one of Obama's top advisors. Okay, he's a lib. Okay, he's a Obama Democrat. He's a corpo dem. Is sort of a um, okay, I agree, Matt Saigai, but I want you guys to let you know that he has started fighting against the Democratic establishment. Okay, you're right, Matt Saigai. I'm about to compliment him. Okay, he has started fighting against the Democratic establishment, and because he is starting to notice how incompetent they are. And we don't have to agree with him completely ideologically, but this is one of the best interviews I have seen of the head of the Democratic National Convention, okay, that I have seen. And John does a great job of humiliating this guy and showing how much of and revealing the nonsense. So remember what I just said about everything happening in the country. After Kamala Harris lost the last election, the Democratic Party did a study to determine why they lost. And they did this study to try and figure out how to do better in the future. Okay. They did this study to try and figure out how to do better in the future. Alas, they never released the results of that survey. Okay. They never released it, and they are refusing to release it. And what is clear from what we have heard, from leaks we've heard, is that one of the biggest reasons the Democrats lost was because of Kamala Harris's stance on Gaza. Okay. So, of course, the Democrats don't want to release this. Now, I want to point out, do we think it's any coincidence that suddenly the Democratic Party mainstream is going after Hassan Piker? Or do we think that maybe they think that after reading this report that they just need to crush anyone who's pro-Palestine? And that might be why they're all suddenly turning against Hassan Piker after this got released internally. Or why Congress just passed a bill, or is trying to pass a bill that goes after Hassan Piker. Okay? All right. Regardless, just watch. Just watch. Watch how incompetent Democratic leadership is. Okay? And I suspect that you'll see what I mean. And this is the party that's supposed to be stopping all the shit we see happening. So I'm going to skip past the pleasantries and show you the questions John asks.
Win everywhere, especially the White House in 2028. I also very much understand you've got one of the hardest jobs in politics that you took at an especially tough time for the party. But I do want to press you on some specific things because I think the stakes are too high not to. Does that sound fair?
Sounds great, John. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So I want to start with the 2024 autopsy, which you call an after-action review. When you won the chairmanship in February of 25, you criticized the D.N.C's refusal to release their 2016 autopsy as exactly what not to do. You said, quote, was there any utility in doing that? And then promised your 2024 autopsy would be different. Your exact quote was, of course it will be released. Why did you change your mind on that?
Well, look, I mean, what I said all along, even when I ran for this position, is that we were going to focus on the things that will help us win the upcoming election, right? Making sure that we learn the right lessons that could help inform our victories. And that's what we've done. We said this when we sent out the press release back in November saying we weren't going to release the report. We were going to actually keep our focus on those lessons. And we released those lessons. We continue to do that. And it's important for me, instead of navel gazing and looking backwards and trying to relitigate 2024, I don't know about you, John, but I don't have a time machine. I don't think you do. No one does. So we can't change what happened in 24. The only thing we can do is actually change what happens in the future, including the 26 election cycle, 28 and beyond. That means we do need to learn the lessons. We need to make sure they help inform.
Okay, notice he doesn't even say what the lessons are. Yeah. He's not even saying what the lessons are. And he's like, well, you know, we're not going to release that. We just got to go through with the lessons that we're releasing. What do you mean? What lessons are you releasing? You're not releasing any lessons. Is he like, well, you should just see what the lessons are from how we're acting? What?
Our decisions that we're making. And we've been releasing those. We released them just a couple months ago in our playbook, which if you want to look at that, go to dnc.org.
No, they didn't.
backslash playbook, and you can get an example of some of the lessons. We've been releasing them with our donors and with activists and party leaders.
Oh, great.
We've been talking about what those lessons are, and we've actually been putting those lessons into action. And so it's not completely accurate to say that we didn't release that. Where we're keeping our focus is on the lessons that can actually help us win.
But on this show in August, you told me this about releasing the review, quote,
I got to tell you, I know a lot of us don't like John Favreau, but he's really based right now. I love this line of questioning.
we have to do it to give people who invested so much time, energy, and money a sense of what happened and why we lost.
Yeah, Mr. King.
Correct.
Especially why we lost. So what changed between August and December? I understand there are lessons, but those are not the full report. Why not release the full report? What's in the report that you wouldn't want
Well, first off,
to
there's
publicize?
there's no smoking gun in the report, and I know that's what
Then why
everyone's
not
so
release
eager
it?
to learn. The smoking gun. Guess what, John?
But if there's
surprise in
no
the-
smoking gun, why wouldn't you just release it then?
Because we want to keep the focus on the lessons. Because what ends up happening here is that people, of course, want to weaponize the report in a way to look backwards, to point fingers.
We want to keep because we want to keep the focus on the lessons that we're not releasing. What?
Place blame in a way that actually doesn't keep us focused on the upcoming election. But instead, the navel-gazing of focusing backwards actually takes us backwards. We're 189 days from this election, John. What we don't need to be focused on is actually relitigating 2024. What we need to do is learn the lessons of 24 and the years preceding that can help us win this upcoming election. That's why we've been releasing them. That's why we've been focused in on actually putting those lessons into action. And there's nothing that I told you in August that is inaccurate. We've been sharing those lessons out with donors. We've been talking about this with party leaders. And
Yes, so in your groove, so dumb, almost none of the electorate would pay attention to the report. Yeah, you know who I'm guessing they don't want to see the report in your groove? The donors. I bet that they're worried they're going to lose a bunch of donors, especially pro-Israel donors, if they release the report. So they don't care, but like they care only about the donors. So I imagine that they are, they don't want it to be released because, again, it's about the donors. It's not about the people because they're so beholden to the donors. That's my thought.
Activists and others and organizations and campaigns. It's no surprise and I get it. I get why people are obsessed with it because there's various groups and organizations and people who think there's some sort of smoking gun in there. Guess what, John? In the third closest presidential election in the last 100 years, everything mattered. There's nothing that didn't impact that election.
But why did you spend the money going to 50 states, doing all these interviews, doing all this stuff, and doing this report in the first place, if you weren't going to release the full results of it? Like, why? I don't get why just you and some of the senior D.N.C. people get to see.
Of course, Jonas, you're not wrong. Jonas says, did they think bringing Megan the Stallion on stage would be more helpful than supporting and oppressed people? Yeah. Yes, Jonas. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Okay. They thought, no. Even worse than that, Jonas, they thought that having, what was it? What's her name? Not Cindy McCain. The other lady, Cheney. Liz Cheney. Bringing Liz Cheney on stage was more important than supporting and oppressed people. Okay. So, yeah.
But not most of the DNC members who are state party chairs. I mean, more than a dozen DNC members told NBC just the other week they want it released, including Congresswoman Delia Ramirez and North Carolina Democratic Party Chair Anderson Clayton. And Anderson said, quote, genuinely, what did you all find that we did not? How did you answer that question?
Drusilla.
What we found is the things we've been telling them, both Anderson, Delia, other folks who have concerns about it. We've shared all of the lessons with them, right? And so again, I think, John, the reality is you're proving my point here, right? People are obsessed about this in a way that continues to turn them away from wanting to focus on the lessons and instead thinking that there's some sort of smoking gun in here that's going to give them the one single reason that Kamala Harris lost the election, or the one single thing that we should have done differently that's going to actually help us win in the future. There is no one single thing that cost Kamala the election. There is no one single thing that we can do to help us win the upcoming election. There's a number of lessons for sure that will help us win in 26 and beyond. But again, I understand what you're saying.
Liddy Bruz, welcome to the chat. You say, aside from the donors angle, I think if they released it, it would force accountability they can't control, in my opinion. Once a report like this from a public, they become ammunition. If the report says we ignored economic anxieties or are glad handing to elites, alienated working class voters, that doesn't stay a quiet internal lesson. It becomes a political weapon used against incumbents and leadership in the next cycle. Well, good. So Liddy, I get that, Liddy, but the incumbents and leadership, you're right. Yeah. So I think you're saying that's a good thing, right? Like we absolutely need to have those incumbents and those leaders bye-bye, gone, right? And I agree with you. I completely agree with you. Okay, I think you're right. I think it is more than just donors, and I should have pointed that out. It's also their own self-interest. Okay, yeah, Liddy, yeah. Okay, it's also their own self-interest. Completely agree. Alyssa says, take a drink every time he says lesson. I should go get a beer, right? Alyssa, I really should. I literally could turn this into a drinking game. I could go get a Guinness right now. Thank you, Alyssa, for the contribution, really. All right.
John, we'll just have to agree to disagree on this because, we have already started to put those lessons into action.
There's the drink.
I'm proud of the results of what we've seen over the last year and a half since I've been elected. We have significant wind at our back, and we're going to continue to move forward. And we're going to continue to put those lessons we've learned into action, and I hope others will start to do the same.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out because it certainly doesn't seem like anyone's looking.
So SoCal, that is possible. Because they haven't released the report, we can't be sure. There have been some. So SoCal says the one thing that cost Kamala the election was that they put her in at the last minute as some Hail Mary after the disaster of a debate. Yeah, I admittedly, SoCal, that's probably part of it. What has been leaked from after the autopsy is that one of the biggest things that made her lose the election was her stance on Gaza. Now, I can't be certain of that, though, because that's a leak, right? So it's possible that there are other things, too, that were a big factor. So that's completely true, SoCal, but that's what we need to know, right? We need to know. No, I know, SoCal, right? But we need to know what those issues are. And I agree with you, SoCal. There probably were more than one, but we need to hear them, right? Okay, as I'm sure you know. All right. Dolly Boy. Hello, Dolly Boy. How are you doing, Dolly Boy?
Looking for one single silver bullet because it's a 200-page report. So I feel like on a 200-page report, there's a lot of lessons for everyone to take. And if you're going to operationalize it, then I think the question is, like, are you operationalizing it on behalf of people who didn't actually get to see the report? So, like, do they know what they're agreeing to when they operationalize lessons from the report if they haven't been able to read the report?
I love John. He's doing such a good job.
John, you're proving the point.
What's the point?
I mean,
what point?
Is the obsession on the report without actually focusing in on the lessons.
Okay, I got you, Dolly Boy. I'm doing okay. All right, so we get the idea here, right? We don't need to watch the whole thing, but this is... So just remember, guys. Remember, this is the party. This is the party that is supposed to be coming to support us, etc. Okay? That's supposed to be stopping the onslaught of the fascist Trump administration and the declaration of war against the planet. Is that true, Matt Saigai? Okay, then we'll watch a little bit more. All right. If he does start attacking John, we'll watch a bit more. All right. So let's do that. But Liddy Bruz, hello. I also think it's important to note that parties like the Dems treat losses as messaging. Of course they do. A truly honest report would herald the uncomfortable shifts on stuff like overreaching policy or candidate selection. To say, yep, correct. Keeping it internal lets them selectively have. Of course it does. Liddy Bruz. And of course, that's just the proof, Liddy Bruz, that we don't have a real democracy, and the Democrats aren't on our side. They are one of two corporate parties. And people who only think that voting is the only thing that's important have no idea what they're talking about, because clearly this party isn't on our side. And if they really cared about winning, they would do what is necessary to win rather than just protecting themselves. Okay, so let's watch I'm going to see what else they say then, okay?
People believe there's some sort of magic silver bullet in there that's going to solve all.
Jonas, you say, seriously though, can someone explain why Chuck Schumer is that bad? He's massively corrupt, Jonas. Chuck Schumer is one of the biggest acceptors of donations from Israel. He is one of the biggest acceptors of donations from the military-industrial complex. He's basically the Democratic head of the Senate. So he has a tremendous amount of power, and he's a corpo dem through and through, and he's massively corrupt. Okay, let's put it that way. He's one of these guys that loves to stick to the center of everything, and he's deeply uncharismatic. All right, deeply uncharismatic. So there you go. All right, he's one of the few Democratic senators who voted to send bulldozers to Israel to help them clear out Lebanese villages and shit like that, and Palestinian villages. He's a monster. Yeah, he's basically a conservative. Yeah. There you go, Lizzie Bruz. You mean the esteemed senator for Tel Aviv? Yeah, nothing wrong with him. There you go, Liddy Bruz. All right. Liddy Bruz, you fit right in. You fit right in. You should stay around. You get a boop. Everyone, Liddy Bruz gets a boop. Boop. Welcome, Liddy Bruz. Okay. The modern, and they are based AF. Oh, I love it. I love Liddy Bruz. Okay. Anyway.
Of our ills at the Democratic Party.
Yeah, Jonas.
There's not.
Chuck.
And I understand.
I don't think there's going to be a magic silver bullet, though. Who thinks that? No one thinks it's good. No one thinks there's a magic silver bullet. It's a 200-page report. You interviewed people in 50 states. You spent a lot of donor money on it. I think people are probably wondering, like,
we didn't spend a lot of donor money on that, and that's just inaccurate.
You spent a couple $100,000 on it, right?
No, we did not.
It was a free report?
We did not spend a couple $100,000 on that. The person and people who were involved in it were not paid to do this work. And so
okay, this nitpicking. So I guess it was labor in kind then, okay? You had rich people pay for it without you doing it directly. Okay, right. Okay, so good, great. I'm sure that's, that's not a misrepresentation at all, I'm sure.
I will just say that's inaccurate, John. So I'm not sure where you would even get that number. And so do you have some sort of record that shows we spent any money on that?
Okay, totally. He's revealing himself. He's like, no, guys, there is no written record of us spending that money because we didn't directly spend it. We didn't directly spend it. So you can't say we spent that money. There's no written record of it. So they spent, independent donors spent it for us. Okay, that is what he's saying. I'm almost certain that's what he's saying. Okay.
I've seen reporting that you did spend money on it. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, well that's inaccurate. Okay, the person we asked to do this is an unpaid advisor to the D.N.C. And so I appreciate.
I'm sorry. How do you do a 50-state report that shows what went wrong without paying someone? That's not possible. That is stupid. That takes a lot of time and resources. The lies, okay, whatever.
Where it's coming from, John, but let's just trade in facts on this, right? The reality is we did talk to, hundreds of people. It was an exhaustive exercise to really get at what are those key lessons.
For free? So was that done for free?
And I want to be very clear. There's nothing that changed from what I said on the campaign trail to now, which is
when you were on the campaign trail and you talked about definitely releasing an autopsy and criticized the D.N.C. for not releasing an autopsy in 2016. In your mind, you thought, I'm going to do one, but only release certain lessons and not the full report?
No, what I said at the time is exactly what I've been saying now, which is we have to focus on the things that help us.
Jonas, I swear to God, you all are too busy praising the Dolly Boy cult. Focus. This is important. Don't make me crack down on all of you. Thank you, Jonas, for the contribution.
Win the future elections. We have to focus on those lessons. We have to do this exercise, by the way, of conducting this analysis so that we actually learn what happened, not just in 20.
So what happened? Okay. You guys get the point of this, right? I think you all get the point. Right? This is not, the Democratic Party are not going to save us, and we need a lot more than voting, right? We need a lot more than voting. We need massive changes, massive goddamn changes in this country, okay? I got to tell you. So, all right. Elevator lady, what's the name of the other channel that you mod for? That y'all mod for? I'm just curious. Okay, so that's good. That's good. Yeah, I'm gonna crash out. So do we? This is my point. Okay, interesting. Okay, thank you, Elevator lady, because I could maybe do a raid sometime. And I'll give you and your friend here some credit, Liddy Bruz credit for it. I'll say, hey, they told us to come over here. Okay, so I'm gonna save that. But anyway, okay, so that's good, right? So that's the situation we're in, folks. Okay, I just want to clarify that. That's the situation we're in. So can we, maybe what'd you say, Dolly Boy? You have 145 stream streak. Dear God, Dolly Boy, well done. I'm very proud of you. That's fantastic. I love that. Thank you, Dolly Boy. Thank you. All right. So good, right? Isn't this great? This is lovely. I love this for us. Okay. So, just everything's going to hell. Yay. All right, guys. How's everyone doing out there? Everyone okay? Everyone good? Everyone in a nice, warm environment, a cool environment? Everyone relaxed and calm and having a grand old time out there? Yes? Yes, we all good? Okay. So let's see. His time in this position is not long for this earth. Yeah, Luke. I would hope so, Luke. But knowing the Democrats, who knows? Who knows? So anyway, those are our fighters, guys. Those are our fighters out there fighting for us. Okay. Out there fighting for us. All right. Virtual violence, you're bleeding from your nose. Oh no. Okay. Oh no. Yes, I agree. Liquid Alcorn. You should, everyone should join the gaming club over on Discord. By the way, please join our Discord. It's linked at the top of the chat on Twitch and the bottom of the chat on YouTube, I think. So please join our Discord. Very fast growing community on there. Very lovely place. Love it very much. So please join that. Love it. All right. Love it, love it, love it. Yes, warm or cool. All right. That's hilarious, Fox Emblem. The info wasn't even given to the DNC state chair heads, by the way. It's only the 0.1% have. Of course, Fox Emblem. Hilarious. Jesus, why Russia needs to come in or Iran needs to come in and hack that shit and release it anyway, or China, whatever. Okay. So, let's go on, shall we, guys? We have other things to do. So thank you all for living through the horror with me. I thought, you know what? Let's do a little palate cleanser, shall we? Let's do a little palate cleanser because we need some stress relief, don't we? We need some stress relief. Boop. Okay. So let's watch this. So this is the I could visit. So this is just a little palate cleanser. I think you'll all appreciate it. Let's go.
Llévese. Good morning, my girl. How are you? How are you, my girl? Sleepy? Are you sleepy?
Aw.
Come here. Come here.
Look at the kitty. All those kitties.
Did you miss me, my girl?
So this, by the way, this guy hasn't seen this cat for 6 years. Okay. I'm sorry. He hadn't seen this cat for 2 weeks. He has known this cat for 6 years, but he hasn't seen the cat for 2 weeks. So the cat's extremely happy to see him.
Başkan geliyor 9'da mesai.
Geveze. Come here. Come here, once more. Come here. Yes. She listens to me. My beautiful girl. Geveze. Geveze. Nereye gidiyorsun? My beautiful girl. We miss you a lot, my girl.
Aww.
We miss you a lot.
Aww.
What about it, guys? What about the Geveze? Also, if you want to support the channel, you can do that via Buy Me a Coffee. Link in the description.
Okay, so there you go, guys. I thought you'd like that. All right. Let me look up something real fast. So that's just a cute little kitty, right? Leak. Let's see here. Doo-doo. So I will say, I just double checked this, but there actually was a leak of, and listen, so you said here, Lizzie Bruz, the fact that it hasn't been leaked, you're right. The whole thing hasn't been leaked. Okay, Lizzie Bruz, but there was actually one leak that came from it. And one of the leaks that did come from the Democrats' report was that Gaza was one of the big reasons that they lost. So there was one leak, but they haven't, the whole thing hasn't been leaked. So there might be like one Democrat in there that is upset about it, but you see what I mean? Um, so it's not, there has been a little bit of a leak, but not nearly as much as we need. Let's put it that way. But you're right. The fact that the whole thing hasn't been leaked is a massively big problem. Okay. It's a sign that there's a lot of Democrats in there who are intransigent and refuse to actually do what's necessary for the sake of winning. Okay. Because they don't actually care about winning, right? It's about their power, their own power and prestige and things like that. Okay. Um, Liddy Bruz, I'm because I'm from Australia and the Conservatives got dumpstered. Yep, Liddy Bruz. Okay, so let's see here. Let's see what else we got here, guys. So someone else sent me a, what's this, Paul Squaw? Wait, is this on? Wait a minute, Paul Squaw, is this serious? Is this actually the Democratic fight song according to the Democratic National Convention? Oh my God, I'm gonna puke. Okay, dear God, I really do need alcohol. Oh, let's just see what it is. Let's just see what it is.
For Hillary.
This is the Hillary fight song? I've never heard the Hillary fight song. Excuse me, sorry, I don't go around listening to Hillary Clinton fight songs. I know that's shocking, Paul Squaw. All right, yes, it's real. It's real, elevator lady. God help us.
Dum, 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 like a small boat on the ocean, sending big waves into motion.
Oh my God, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I can't do it. I can't do it. I cannot. I'm going to vomit. I can't do it. Right, Liddy Bruz, I literally can't do it. I'm sorry. This is not, okay. How dare you, Paul Squaw? Paul Squaw's like, do it for Hillary. Oh my God, I'm going to lose my mind.
A single word can make a heart open. I might only have one match, but I can make an
What is her face doing? Look, hey, wait. Look at the woman on the right and look at her face. Okay, I know, but look, like, what is her mouth doing? Watch this. Watch this.
I can make an explosion, and all those things I didn't say, wrecking balls inside my brain.
Okay, you know what? Fuck this. Okay, this is humiliating. We're not gonna watch this. Okay, this is horrific. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I can't do it. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. LaQuad, this doesn't make you want to Pokemon go to the polls. I know, right? I'm so inspired. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry for torturing you in that way. This is horrific. Beatboxing that we can't hear, right? Okay, horrific. Dolly Boy, how did she not win with this kind of fight song? I know, it's not very good beatboxing. Paul Squaw, remember, okay, fine, I'll just say, oh God, remember when the D.N.C shows us the lessons we have learned? Yeah, Paul Squaw, oh my God, okay.
I will scream loud tonight. Can you hear my voice this time? This is our fight song. Take back our life song.
I really don't get the point. Is that Rob Reiner? Okay, whatever. What is the point of this? It doesn't even it doesn't even tell us what they're trying to get us to do, right? Like, it doesn't even does it even tell you what we're supposed to be doing? Oh my God, look at that. I can't do it. I can't do it. You can life through the print. What is this? Oh my God! Look at that, a big American flag with all the people singing. Hurrah! Okay. All right. You know what? I am curious. Do they even have like Hillary Clinton in this anywhere?
Can you hear my voice this time?
Why do so many of these people look like they're constipated and they're trying to, you know, they're trying to pinch off a log, if you know what I mean?
This is our fight song. Take back our life song. Prove we're alright song.
My power's turned on.
Starting right now, I'll be strong.
I really can't do it. I'm sorry, guys. I can't do it. This is so painful. I can't do it. 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 Okay, you know what? We'll go to Lizzie Bruz. What'd you send, Lizzie Bruz? What'd you send, Liddy Bruz? Okay, I can't do it. I just can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. What's this one, Liddy Bruz? Go vote. What's this about? What's this about? Ugh. They are the lamest mofos in history. What's this? I don't get it. It's not very loud. I don't get it. Okay, I don't get it. I don't get what's the point? What is the point of this, Liddy? What are you what is this? What are you trying to communicate to us with this? What does this mean, Liddy? Explain yourself. All right? You're just uncultured. You knew my No, I don't know. I don't get it. I'm honestly asking. What is the I'm trying to get the point of it. Yeah, is the point that it's the equivalent message? Is it just like making fun of being told to go vote? Is that what that is? I'm literally asking. Okay? Because that makes sense to me if that's what it's supposed to say. But it was I couldn't get it right away. That's why I'm asking. It's just taking the piss. I got you. Okay, I got you. Okay, then that I like that then. I like that. Okay, right? Okay, now I'm going to go vote. I got it. He's choking on the schlong of capitalism and oppression. Oh! Oh, now that makes sense. That does make sense. Okay, I get it now.
I work Fridays. Hey, they want me to go vote. Ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ah. My grandma said when I rap, it sound like I choke. Ooh, ah, 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 ah.
I get it now. I get it. Oh my God. That's hilarious. It is a huge schlong to I get it now. Thank you, Liddy. Oh, that's much more funny now.
When I rap, sound like I'm a crude.
Y'all really like this trash? Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Okay. I wasn't going to go vote then. I heard Grandma wanted me to vote, so I immediately got up and went to the nearest polling place. Immediately after the polling station, all the potholes in the street have been filled. Homelessness and poverty have been solved, and the U.S. reached a deal with China and Russia that created world peace. Thank you, Mrs. Miles. You saved the world. Love that, Liddy Bruce. Anyway, that's hilarious. I love that. That's hilarious. Okay. So that actually is very funny. I deeply appreciate it. I don't want to get copyrighted. I'm worried I'm going to get copyrighted. The rest of the song is just that sound. Okay. Fantastic. Oh, that's much better. Exactly. It's just kind of like okay, I shouldn't do that. If I do that on stream, you're all going to clip it. Never mind. Okay, there's no deeper meaning. LOL, he's a meme. Oh, is he? Okay, I don't know what. You guys can't lie to me. I don't know. I'm ignorant of pop culture. So whatever. Okay, whether it's there's no meaning or there's a meme or what is it? I don't know. Whatever. Okay. Whatever. Okay. I hate all of you. All right. Someone needs to send him that John Fetterman track by RX Nephew. All right. Can't be worse than you holding a knife. How dare you, Matt Saigai? All right. All right. So we'll watch this one perhaps later. This is too, oh God, is this another one of the conspiracy people? This looks like one of the conspiracy people. Oh, good God. Is this one of the, is this one of the conspiracy people here, a Bright Love? All right. Oh, is it liquid Alcorn? Because it doesn't look like it. Well, maybe we'll watch it here in a bit. Is Donald Trump following the same path as Gog and Magog? Oh my God, Gog and Magog, insane. Okay, he is also humorous. All right, maybe we'll take a look at it. All right. I hate. Hey, elevator lady, Matt. No, bonk. Matt Saigai, bonk. Elevator lady, bonk. Anyone else need a goddamn bonk? All right, Jonas, you get a bonk for lying to me. Bonk. Anyone else need a bonk? I'm very mad at all of you. Okay. Not for you, Dolly Boy. You get nothing. And you'll like it. Dodongo, don't you laugh. Bonk. All right, moving on, guys. So, let's go on here. I know you did, Matt. I'm sure you did. Okay, I'm sure you did. You okay, one of you assholes. Okay. Okay, got you, Jonas. Okay. One of you assholes clipped me holding the Hitler Youth armband, okay? And you anyway, I hate you all very much. Let's put it that way. Okay, I hate you all very much. I was talking to my Berg. What Berg went wrong? Everything, Dodongo, everything. Okay? I hope it hurt. All right, guys. So, why not? Why not? Let's briefly watch some of a Bright Love's
Almost
thing.
every...
Let's see if this is worth the time. I hope it's kind of funny. I love you too, Dolly Boy. So let's see here. I knew someone would do that. I know, of course they would, Paul Squad. This is what I get for showing you stuff. Liquid Alicorn, the video is about how evangelicals since before Iraq have been trying to engineer the apocalypse. Love the sound of it. We'll watch a little bit of it. Bogus ass shirt unless meant to be ironic. Okay, you know what? We'll watch. Sure, this looks fun. I kind of want to watch something kind of crazy and fun. So let's see what he has to say. If it's boring or whatever, we won't keep watching it. But watch it for a little bit, okay? The deeper you understand, the more you... Okay, I get it. Let's watch, shall we?
Major religion in the world today says that we are living in the last days, that we are coming towards the end of this world.
Okay.
We got the Kali Yuga, the Ragnarok, the last hour, the apocalypse. And Christianity is no different. We are living in the feet of clay, and soon the big rock will come smash us down, and then the great...
Is he joking? Please tell me he's joking. Oh my God, please tell me he's joking.
Beast will grow a new horn, and that horn will be shouting the N-word at God non-stop. That's the time that we are living in right now.
What?
But what if I told you that this symbolic language used within the Bible is being used by people today to try and accelerate us towards the end of the world?
That's true, actually. So actually, I buy that. Yeah, that's what, guys. Don't forget, we have a death cult. We have a death cult who runs the country. Remember that. We have a far right-wing Christian death cult, which is fun. You know what? That's fun. No problems there. No problems there. Okay. Yay.
That's a lot to take in. Now, within this video, I am going to discuss...
His shirt annoys me.
...the last book of the Bible, the book of Revelation.
Exactly, Liddy Bros.
And of course, because it's the last book of the Bible, I have to give a spoiler warning, because we're going to skip to the end. I don't want to spoil it for you, so spoiler warning on the Bible right now.
Spoiler warning on the Bible? Okay, okay, guys, oh my God, you guys are going to get me going off on a religion rant, aren't you? Don't make me do it, guys. Alyssa will hate me. Alyssa's sick of my religion rants. When I love Alyssa, and I don't want to upset Alyssa, but the Bible, you're not missing much. Let's put it that way. The Bible is, how do I frame this in a nice way? The Bible is not a reliable source for anything. Okay, I got to tell you, it just isn't. I think we know that, right? We know that the Bible is not a reliable source, right? It's really not at all. And it's really not something that anyone should look to for any kind of guidance, really. Because it's not reliable at all. So just about that. I mean, I could go into more detail, but you already know. All right. No manga spoilers. And no spoilers. Okay, guys. So here I can here. There are a few spoilers. There's a lot of genocide that God promotes in it. You know, women suck apparently, according to the Bible. Okay, gay people kind of suck also, according to the Bible. You know, but you know, it's kind of confusing because there's like 8 different storylines that are, and they're like all the same storyline, but they're different every time they're told. And then there's like 2 different stories of the creation of the earth, which doesn't make sense because they contradict. And then there's 4 different gospels that all tell the same story, but they're all different from each other. So it's like, which one of those do I listen to? My point is it's not exactly reliable. Okay, we get that, right? I'm not meaning to. Sorry if I'm spoiling it. Sorry if I'm spoiling it for you. You're not missing much if you haven't read it.
So to begin with, I want you to imagine that you are the Apostle John.
Oh my God, I remember that. Yes, when the children are like, "Hey, Baldy," and then God called a bear to maul him to death. That was funny. I love that. Yeah, guys, tons of child assault. You're right, Gray Art. Also, lots of incest. Do we remember how like there's like all those, you know, all those sex workers who are constantly being assaulted and stuff in the Bible, and like different people who are related to each other having sexual relations with each other, and children being assaulted, and you know. It actually makes sense that so many people in this country love that thing, since we're a pedocracy, right? We're run by a bunch of pedophiles. So yeah, very unpleasant book. Just to point that out. Okay, moving on.
1,900 years ago, and you are a very old man at this point. And because the Christians were being persecuted at the time, you have likely been exiled to a small island off the coast of Greece called Patmos. So you are an old man on a rocky, remote island in the middle of nowhere. Right? And you're sitting there and you're reflecting on the past. You're thinking about the past and you're probably wondering, it's time for me to go. I'm too old for this shit. It's time for me to die and be reunited with Jesus and my friends. Because at this point, Jesus died and was resurrected around 60 years ago. And you want to see him again.
Barbara.
But you think that your job is done. Or I'm sorry, John. There's more stuff for you to do, right? We still need you. So John is sitting there, and suddenly
he hears a noise. John wrote the book of Revelations, also called the Apocalypse. Okay.
He hears a giant horn. Yeah. He turns around, and it's Jesus. But he looks a bit different. Jesus is glowing bronze. He has fiery eyes.
By the way, guys, clearly Jesus, when he appeared to John, was blonde hair, blue-eyed, okay, and white. Obviously, don't we all know that? Jesus was a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white man. At least that's how he always appears to be depicted at almost every church I've been to. Okay, at least almost every white church I've been to. He's always like a 6'3", muscular twink, blonde hair, blue-eyed. Sometimes he's presented as a twunk, okay? I admit, though, like, Jesus on the cross is rather sexy. Yeah, he's kind of twink or twunk level. If you, you know, it's like, oh, look at me. It's very, you know, it's very, you know, it's very twink-esque, very twunk or twink, depending on who's portraying him. Anyway, so elevator lady, a twunk is a mix of a twink and a hunk. So like, you know what a hunk looks like, right? So imagine a twink that is also a hunk, and that's a twunk, right? Mostly he's just a twink. Do we all get that now? Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. All right. There we go. Everyone's learning.
As these lampshades...
Matt's like, I'm not going to tell you what a power bottom is. You can look that up for yourself, okay? Go to Urban Dictionary.
Floating around him, and he has 7 stars in his hand. And he's like, fuck. But Jesus says, John, do not be afraid. Do not be afraid, John. Calm down.
Do you think John was screaming his ass off? Like, ah! Like I know I would if like some fiery figure appeared to me and like with like 7 stars and shit. I'd be screaming my ass off and running around and probably like fall over like and pass out from fear. So can you imagine God, like Jesus coming down and be like, it's okay, John, no, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Everything's fine. And John's just like screaming his ass off. Okay. Maybe, hey, outer signal, you're right. Okay.
Old man takes a breath. Okay, I'm not afraid.
Right in your groove.
And then Jesus goes, okay, now watch this. And John receives the craziest, most frightening visions anyone has ever witnessed in their life up to this point in human history. He sees the craziest shit you have.
Actually, you're right, Outer Signal. You're right. Angels are normally like, be not afraid. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. All right.
Ever seen. We're talking lambs with multiple eyes, beasts with multiple heads, apocalyptic visions of the future. He sees the craziest shit. He sees God himself on the throne with crazy angels with multiple eyes floating around him. He sees stuff that no old man should see on some remote island, right?
Yeah.
I like the idea of Jesus like, John.
No one should see on a remote island without drugs, okay? Because I'm all for helping yourself achieve a state like that consensually, right?
Don't be scared, but watch this. So that's very funny. Now, luckily for us, John wrote down these crazy visions within the book of Revelation. And of course, many of these visions are highly symbolic and connect to earlier parts of the Bible, like the prophecies of Daniel, so on and so forth.
Yeah, Bright Love, this
But
is
these
great. I want to point out this is great. And I know we were not planning to talk about this topic today, but you know, I'm all for it. Let's enjoy it. Okay, let's enjoy it while we're doing it.
Visions were of the end of the world. These visions were of the future.
Mithril, by the way, I loved how you entered chat here when you said hello tarnished. I love that.
And because of that, many people have speculated that John was witnessing modern technology
Jonas
for
says,
the first
clip,
time.
Sam wants priests on DMT. Jonas, at least that would stop them from being around children.
And I want you to imagine this. You are an 80, 90-year-old man from 2,000 years ago, and you are placed in the middle of a modern warfare like Ukraine or Iran. Or you are placed in the middle of a modern city like Tokyo, and you are witnessing things that you could not comprehend.
Sorry, real fast, I'm sorry. Matt Saigai says, I've experienced God several times. You could never disprove God's existence. Now, Matt Saigai's joking, but can we just remind everyone that you cannot prove a negative, right? I love it when people, God, I shouldn't be doing my atheism thing right now. I try to limit my atheism stuff. When people say, well, you can't disprove God. No, of course you can't. But that's not how that works. The assumption is that there is no God, and then you have to use evidence to show that there is a God. The claim is that there's a God, so what's the evidence for a God? To say, well, you can't disprove it, that is assuming that the fundamental, like that at the foundation, everyone should assume there's a God. It's not how logic or philosophy works, okay? You need to defend a claim. Okay.
Because of that, you would have to describe it in the best way you could, right? Because you could not comprehend digital payment systems. You could not comprehend seeing Japanese people dressed in cosplay. You could not comprehend missiles and helicopters flying overhead. You could not comprehend this stuff. So you would have to describe it.
Right, Outer Signal. So be like, I'm sitting next to an invisible, all-knowing, all-powerful, all-loving unicorn who is sustained by a teacup orbiting the moon. Prove me wrong. How? How can I prove you wrong? Like, anyway, like, you see, like, exactly, all right?
In the best way you could, right? And let's just say John tried his best, okay?
Jesus.
Now, one of John's visions was that of a swarm of locust-like creatures emerging.
By the way, locusts are actually pretty tasty. Locusts are actually pretty tasty. Okay. No, great. So listen, I'm an atheist. I don't believe there's a God. You cannot disprove. You cannot. It's an unfalsifiable claim. What I mean by that is that the most you can do is show that it's unlikely that there's a God. Okay. There's like almost no evidence that there's a God, right? So, but that's when someone claims there's a God, they are the ones making the claim that you need to provide evidence for a claim, right? The ground, like the assumption should be that there's no God, and then you cannot prove a negative. So yeah, you can say, Gray Art, you can say that that the Bible is not reliable and that it is not a good source. You can definitely prove that using history and things like that. But you cannot prove a negative. Like it doesn't make sense. Okay. And by the way, there is like, as you do see here, let's see here, Mithril, you say prove dark energy then. So Mithril, we know that there's some kind of dark energy because of the pressure it has around it, but we don't know what it is, right? We don't know what it is. But regardless, my point is that you can't prove a negative. All right. So it's not a good approach to logic to say like you can't. No, of course, no one can prove. I can't. I cannot prove that there isn't a spaghetti monster on the other side of the moon right now. Right? How could I prove that? I could come up with any excuse possible. Well, we saw the other side of the moon. There's no spaghetti monster there. Well, it just moved. It just moved when you did that. Okay. Well, maybe you're hallucinating and you don't actually see it because it's invisible, right? So the point is you can't prove, you see what I mean? You can't disprove. Anyway, you see what okay, get what I mean. Anyway, bro, okay. Jonas, my only problem with atheists is that they often have a superiority complex over religious people. I don't demand you follow my religion, but don't hate me for having one. But I would, yes. Now, Jonas, I agree with you, and I can be an asshole sometimes. I acknowledge that. I acknowledge that atheists can be assholes, and I really ought to be better at clarifying. Okay, I really ought to be better at clarifying. There's nothing wrong with people who are religious. Okay, I want to point that out. I'm mainly talking about a sort of I'm talking about sort of logic here. You can't I'm not really trying to focus on the religion thing at this point as much as just saying that you can't prove a negative. Okay. It's like overall, that's not a logical thing that can be done. But my point here is that doesn't mean that that means I cannot prove that there isn't a God. No one can prove that there isn't a God. We can only show that it's very unlikely. But that's the point, right? Is that in order to show there's a God, you would need to provide a ton of evidence. Okay, it's complicated, but
from the abyss and swarming the sky and darkening the sky. And also, they made a loud noise as they approached. But these locusts, they were not natural creatures, okay? Brace yourself, because I'm going to describe what they looked like, okay? Poor John had to see this, okay? This is how he describes them. They're like locusts, but also they're like horses with chest plates of iron, but it's not iron. And also they have faces of humans, but they have the hair of a female, and they have crowns, but also they have the teeth of a lion and the tail of a scorpion.
By the way, you can eat locusts. You can cover them in chocolate, and they're quite delicious.
Scorpion that stings. That's what he saw. You got to feel sorry for poor John at this point, right? That's what he says he saw, okay? Now, this strange vision gets even stranger because John describes these locust-like creatures as only targeting humans. He specifically says that these creatures will not target the land or the
that's
grass.
My point, guys. So this is an issue of burden of proof, and I'm not really saying that like there's no. I'm just talking about this is a logic idea. Okay, you need a burden of proof. So no matter what claim you're making, you need to be able to provide evidence of that claim. So yeah, okay, that's my point. That's sort of the overall point I'm trying to make here. And I'm not saying that like that means automatically that there isn't a God or whatever. I'm just saying the frame an argument as prove that there isn't a God is a fallacious logical argument. You can't do that. Okay, because then you can just make up whatever you want, right? I could say that there's a magical unicorn right outside my door right now. Disprove it. How can you guys disprove that? Right? Like, you see what I mean? I would have to provide evidence that there's one there. Okay. Hello, Demosthenes. Mithril, but believers will never be able to provide enough evidence. Look at our discussion. Right. No, absolutely my point, Mithril, which is why I don't believe in a God. Okay. That is exactly why I don't believe in a God. But the believer, because I don't feel that there's enough evidence. But that's, again, okay.
Or the trees. Now, he didn't need to say that, but he specifically.
Gray art. No, gray art. I think you're misinterpreting me here, right? So I could easily say, well, you guys just can't see it. You guys can't see it. You can't measure it, but it's there, right? It's there. So you can't disprove it. Yeah, no, science does, guys, to be clear, Matt Saigai, tell me how right I am, okay? Science can never prove everything to anything to 100% certainty. The closest it can get is like 99.999999999% certainty, right? My point, and which is good, right? Is very good. because there's always a little bit of doubt in everything. This is complicated, right? So to prove a negative doesn't work. You can't, because you need evidence. Evidence makes it far more likely that something is true. Okay, this is complicated. Whatever. You know what? We'll keep
Specifically mentions that. Now, with that in mind, for a long time, people have speculated that John was seeing military helicopters for the first time.
Yeah, Dolly boy.
But let me ask you this. Do military helicopters come in the sky like a swarm?
Of course.
Not really. They come in ones or twos or threes at most, right? And do military helicopters come down and sting people? They do not, okay? But we do have a military technology today that does act as a swarm, and it does only target humans. And when it comes in military formation, we refer to it as a swarm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I'm talking about military drones, but specifically, I'm talking about autonomous, decentralized, self-driven AI killing machines. That's what they refer to when they refer to a drone swarm army. They have minimal human control, these swarms. And militaries around the world are working on this. And guess what? The US Navy, guess what they call their autonomous drone project? They call it Locust. They call it Locust.
Yes. That's interesting.
Now, there's some good news.
That is interesting.
Because
okay, that is kind of interesting. That's very interesting. So they are using apocalyptic language, which makes sense, right? Which makes sense. All right.
John said that these locust-like creatures, these drone swarm armies, would only target the bad people. They would only torture the bad people. All the good people with the mark of God or chosen by God would be protected. These would be immune from the torture of these locusts. So that's a good thing, right? No. That's actually where things get really scary for you and me. Because I want you to imagine this. Imagine that there were some powerful religious fanatics today that...
Louise, are you all right, Sam? Louise, how'd you notice? I suddenly had a really bad pain in my stomach. It went away briefly, but you must have noticed a pained look on my face. Yeah, I don't know. It went away. I don't know what it was. Okay. I know. So this is fascinating. I'm actually, guys, I don't know if I want to keep, tell me in chat, do you guys want to keep watching this? I didn't really want to go down this, the religion rabbit hole today, but what do we think? Is anyone liking this? Okay. I think the next few minutes are key. All right. Is God speaking to me? Right. Okay. And no comments here. Everyone good? Okay. Well, we'll just watch a couple more minutes then. Liquid Alcorn.
Believed it is their duty to fulfill biblical prophecies, that they must do stuff in order to bring about the end of the world. Imagine that. Now, if these types of people did exist, they could see modern technology and drone swarms as a fulfillment of biblical prophecy. And these people could create a database known as the Mark of God. And they could decide who are God's chosen people, who are the good people and who are the bad people.
The mark of God.
They could decide that. And
you know what? Let's stop this for now. Okay, guys, I was not really this is good though. Maybe we'll watch some more of it at some point at Bright Love. But I really don't want to go down the religion rabbit hole today. I try to limit that because I know I can come across as very rude to people who are religious. And I want you all to know that I respect it. I don't care if you believe in this stuff, okay? And even though I'm always screaming about it. Okay. So, all right. You see spirit, but there's no evidence of supernatural entities contradict our laws of nature and stuff. Okay, Gray Art. That's okay, Gray Art. We disagree. This is called the philosophy of knowledge, okay? Nothing can be 100% proven at any point. That we can get very close. Science is the best way we have to get as close to being something as being true as possible. So it's the best method for doing it. Okay. Okay. So, but our senses are flawed. I actually did a whole presentation on this once, guys. Maybe we'll do it again. But Gray Art, hey, that's okay. I think generally you have the right idea here. Okay, I'm going to wander off. I get tired of Smegan telling me experience couldn't have happened. No, Mithril, I want to say I'm not saying. Thank you, Jonas. Thank you, Mithril. I am not saying the experiences you've had haven't happened at all. Okay, I have never. But many people in this chat have actually had religious experiences because Bright Love has had a religious experience. Okay, I'm not saying that they were fake experiences. You experienced it. All right. Do I think it was something supernatural? No, but I want you to believe what you want. All right. And Mithril, I want to point out, to be clear, I am an asshole about these things, and I've explained why before. Okay. I've experienced tons of trauma at the hand of people who are religious. Okay. Tons of trauma. Okay. As a gay man. So, forgive me. Forgive me for being very sensitive about these things, because although it sounds like I'm yelling at I'm upset about religion, you have to understand religious folks have treated me like shit before. Okay, they treat a lot of religious folks treat LGBTQ folks like absolute garbage. All right, so forgive me. Okay, yeah, Mithril, that's okay. A paranormal thing would be like something that is unexplainable. Let's put it that way, okay? So yeah, and that, okay, again, to me, it doesn't matter. So you have to understand that's where I'm coming from, and I hope you all know I think you're all human, and I respect you for your beliefs, okay? I respect your beliefs and stuff, because I know you guys aren't this way. I know you guys aren't, like, homophobic or whatever. Anyway. All right. So moving on. Okay. And, all right. So, I hate you, Paul School. I hate you so much. Okay. So let's go on. Let's see what else we got here to react to. I hate you, LaQual, also. All right, what happens? See a Selma movie. All right, let's see what we got here. We got some other stuff we can watch. All right. Okay. Let me see here. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm looking at some of these suggestions we have here. Reactions. Which side are you on, boys? Virtual violence. I probably can't. I really want to watch this virtual violence, but I don't know if I can. We might have to wait for an After Dark stream to watch this. I will save it so that we can watch it during an After Dark stream. Because I don't want to get copyrighted, but it looks great. No, this looks good. Trump failed.
This video is sponsored in part by...
We could watch this. Let's watch this. Okay, so this was sent to us by Trump Failed. Okay. This is a video about taking a Jim Crow literacy test. Now, we talked today about how we have our government recently dismantled the Voting Rights Act, right? So this is Mr. Beast, excuse me, not Mr. Beast. Whoops. Mr. Beat basically taking one of these literacy tests that were given to people to determine if they should be able to vote. And you'll be able to see how biased it is, okay, and how it was made to sort of disenfranchise black people. All right, so let's watch this.
YouGov. Above the letter X, make a cross. So I assume this letter X in this sentence.
And it's actually very confusing. Okay, it's actually not easy.
I don't see how you learn anything from this.
How are you supposed to complete all of this in under 10 minutes?
Us talking back and forth is also probably people talking inside their own heads back and forth.
And we have both finished college.
Yeah. My name is not Jim Crow. It's Mr. Beat, okay? But who is Jim Crow? Well, you're probably already familiar with Jim Crow laws, the state and local laws that enforced racial segregation in the United States from the 1870s to the 1960s.
So you notice, guys, the sign here. So of course there was this concept in the South of separate but equal, which the Supreme Court created. The idea here is that you can keep black and white people separate as long as you treat them equally. And so they were segregated. Black people had different bathrooms and water fountains and restaurants they could go to. White people had their own water fountains and things they could go to. It was horrific. Okay. So, and they're called Jim Crow laws.
60s, mostly in southern states. But Jim Crow was not a real person. The phrase goes back to a song and dance called Jump Jim Crow.
Yeah,
Created by this racist dude, Thomas D. Rice. Rice would wear makeup to make himself look like he was black, and then...
That is called blackface, and this is why blackface is bad, okay? We all know that, right? That you shouldn't do blackface, okay? They literally used to do, in a lot of movies and stuff, white people would wear black makeup because black people weren't allowed in the movies. And they would do minstrel shows where they would dress up like they were black and wear black makeup on their faces. And they were very much racial stereotypes. Very racial stereotypes. Okay.
Performed the song to make fun of African Americans. This started the horrible tradition of minstrel shows, performed mostly by white actors wearing blackface makeup to create racist caricatures of black men. A common character they pretended to be at these minstrel shows? Jim Crow, of course. Typically portrayed as dumb, cowardly, lazy, and wearing torn-up clothes. By the mid-1800s, racists called any black man a, quote, Jim Crow. Today, though, we often think of Jim Crow as a symbol of that entire era of racial segregation. We even often call it the Jim Crow era. If you were an African American living in a southern state between the 1880s and 1960s, Jim Crow laws completely controlled where you could or could not go, what you could or could not do, and who you could or could not hang out with. Blacks.
Now, there's a part of this that doesn't get talked about much, guys, and I understand why. It's kind of uncomfortable to say because it seems like it's downplaying the effects on black folks, but this also regulated white people. Think about it, right? It said, black people can't be around white people. Yeah, that also means white people can't be around black people. And that's not to, it was obviously directed against black people. But why? What might be the benefit, not only of oppressing black people, but of preventing white people from being around black people? What might, yes, exactly, Dolly Boy, interracial marriages were banned. Why might that be beneficial, okay, for in a society, okay, why might you want to keep white people away from black people? Okay. They can't unite, absolutely. And by the way, it makes it a lot. There you go, Fetty Spaghetti. If they can't talk to them, they won't see them as human. It becomes very hard. It becomes very very easy to dehumanize people. Okay, if you're not allowed to be around them. Okay, so it prevents you all from working together against the powerful and the rich, but it also makes it a lot easier to demonize, okay, if you are not allowed to hang out with people. All right? Yeah.
In southern states not only attended segregated schools, but had to use separate waiting rooms, public restrooms, and even drinking fountains, restaurants, stores, movie theaters, libraries, hotels, churches, and even hospitals were segregated based on the color of your skin. The Supreme Court even chimed in to say these segregation laws were okay.
I wonder why. Let's look at all of them. I feel like there's something about them that looks very the same. Interesting. Something about these guys look, what is it about these folks? It seems like they're pretty the same. I can't figure out why. Anyway,
as long as both facilities were of the same quality. This was in response to a Louisiana law that segregated its train cars based on skin color. I have a video about that case. Actually, 2 videos. What the heck? By enforcing racial
very big robes. I guessed Dodongo. Fine, whatever.
segregation, Jim Crow laws institutionalized white supremacy in nearly
exactly so, Kyle. They're all white men, okay?
every area of public and private life. They were designed to deny African Americans equal access to rights, resources, and opportunities. It created this horrible culture that turned blacks into second-class citizens. Quote, if you were black, you were nothing. You might have $100 in your pocket, but if you went to the store, you would wait at the side until all the clerks got through with all the white folks. No matter if they didn't have change for $1.
There you go, Dodongo. Reminder, they're human beings just like us. Shocker, right?
Then the clerk would finally look at you and say, oh, did you want something? I didn't see you there. But it wasn't just Jim Crow laws. There was redlining. Banks refused mortgages to those living in black neighborhoods, denying wealth building opportunities for African Americans. Some neighborhoods banned African Americans from living there entirely. Police often antagonized blacks. All white juries often ruled unfairly in trials involving black defendants. Blacks often couldn't join unions. And there was all the voter suppression. Blacks often couldn't vote in either of the 2 major political parties' primaries. States gerrymandered districts to limit black representation.
Which is what we're doing now.
In government. There were poll taxes, or fees you had to pay to vote, which disproportionately hurt African Americans, of course. And finally, there were literacy tests. These were tests, presumably, every voter had to take to prove they were able to read. The problem was, these tests were ridiculous. Nearly impossible to pass. Why were they like this?
It's designed to make you fail.
Yeah, more specifically, they were designed to prevent African Americans from voting. Many white voters were exempted from having to take these tests. We're not going against the 15th Amendment because everybody has to take the exact same test.
Unless, of course, your grandparents could vote, in which case you were grandfathered in.
That's right.
You don't have to take the test. Only people whose grandparents couldn't vote have to take the test. And so that automatically means that only people of a certain group.
Even if they did have to take them, they were graded more easily. So how difficult were these literacy tests? Well, I decided to take one, and so did my colleague, Sharon McMahon. I just want to see if you're interpreting this the same way I did. There's a good chance that there's at least some discrepancy between us. So how well did we do? Oh, don't worry, I'll show you how well we did.
I know, Dodongo.
YouGov is my favorite way to take surveys and join, and so easy to get extra
we're going on.
I heard you've been skipping ad reads.
Huh?
Took a wildly successful newsletter on a literacy test.
The constitutional, all of the practicing constitutional law professors in the United States, and asks them to take the test without looking up answers, without phoning a friend, and to mail it back to him. 70% of the constitutional law professors answered the questions incorrectly.
Did he say where it is?
So if the top legal minds in the country can't get these answers right, then how is the little guy, an average citizen, supposed to get them right? And then, of course, the score.
The second ad where he's threatening you for skipping ads, right? He has a butthead too. He's gonna get you for skipping them. I'm okay with it. I don't care. What is he? I'm too small of a creator. He won't come after me. Anytime anyone wanted to test for votes, I'm having a lot of stomach pain, folks, and I don't know why. I might need to get off here in a second. Let's see here. Gray art. Let's see here. The baseball hat. Now that's suddenly a... Yeah. So wait, I can actually take this test. I wonder where I can find it. If I can find the test really fast. Thank you, Paul Squall, for the donation. That'll help me feel better, right? All right. I'm going to see, is there a way to find the test somewhere? Let's see here. Was the intelligence, the literacy test? test. Oh, you posted a link to it? Thank you. Let's see here. Oh my God. Okay. Jesus. Oh, this is going to be horrific. Okay, let's take a look at this, shall we? Okay, which of the following is a right guaranteed by the Bill of Rights? That would be trial by jury. Okay, none of the rest of that is guaranteed because we live in a barbaric country. Okay, so that would be trial by jury. Okay, is there a way for me to? All right, thank you, Louise. I will hydrate. Ooh. Okay, so the federal census of population is taken every 5 years. Yes, true. If a person is indicted for a crime, name 2 rights which he has. Right to a right. Sorry, 10. You're right. It's 10 years. Sorry, I'm distracted. It is 10 years. You guys are right. It's 10 years. False. Okay. False. I'm sorry. My stomach hurts a little bit. I'm kind of distracted. Okay. If a person is indicted for a crime, name 2 rights he has. One would be right to a lawyer. Okay. One would be right to a trial by a jury of your peers. Okay. Right to a trial by jury of your peers. Dolly Boy, 400, get better. The Dolly Boy cult wills it. Oh, we'll see how that works, Dolly Boy, that fake cult. Okay. A U.S. senator elected at the general election in November takes office the following year on what date? Well, God, they've changed those. Have they changed those laws since then? Is this the one actually from 1965? Okay. I know there were some new laws that were added. I think it's the 20th, right? January 20th. But I know that they've added some. No, that was a lot earlier where they added the senator laws. So I think it would be January 20th. Okay. A president elected at the general election in November takes office the following year on what date? Now it is okay. Got you. Now it's January 3rd. So at the time it was March 4th. Okay. All right. So okay, well what time, when was so this isn't fair because I don't remember at the time because they've changed the dates of these things. When at this time were presidents supposed to take office? Was that January? I can't remember at the time because we've changed some of these things in the law. Which definition applies to the word amendment? That would be proposed change as in a constitution. Okay. All right. This isn't fair. What do you mean this isn't fair, elevator lady? Okay. It isn't. Those parts aren't fair because I didn't live. I wasn't alive at this time, and they've changed the dates. Okay, they changed the dates from the time, right? Okay. So, all right. So, a person appointed to the U.S. Supreme Court is appointed for a term of life, unless you resign or die. Okay. When the Constitution was approved by the original colonies, how many states had to ratify it in order for it to be in effect? Well, I think it was all of them. I mean, some of them I'm pretty sure abstained or didn't vote, but all of them had to ratify it, as I recall. Okay. Or because you can't really create a country if some of them don't ratify it. All right. Okay. How many states had to ratify it? Yeah, that's also phrased in a way because they weren't states yet. They weren't states yet, right? Okay. All right. So, does enumeration affect the income tax levied on citizens? What do they mean by enumeration? Do they mean the enumeration clause? The income tax levied on citizens in various states. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, okay. So one of the amendments to the Constitution basically states that any laws within the Constitution that are not covered by the Constitution are enumerated powers that are given to the states. So Yes, I think it does affect the income tax levied on citizens of various states. Um, I mean, but it depends on what they mean by enumeration. Okay. Uh, you're under Articles of Confederation, so what the terms were in that. Yeah, that's fair in your groove. Okay. I mean, it depends on how. See, but the phrasing here is different from when it was at the time. Okay. A person opposed to swearing in an oath may say instead, I don't fucking know. um, okay. Overthinking Sam. No, I'm literally, it's hard. It's a hard test, guys. That's the whole point, is that this is hard. And by the way, and it may have been easier at the time because the language that they used at the time was different. Okay. And so a lot of these things, I don't know. I'm trying to think of it about what they would have meant at the time. Okay. Instead solemnly, yeah, instead I solemnly swear, but do they need more than that? Do they mean, oh, I solemnly swear to tell like, I don't know what the other option would be. Okay. To serve as president of the United States, a person must have attained 35 years of age. 35 years of age. You have to be 35 to be president. Okay. What words are required by law to be on all coins and paper currency of the United States? Oh, I hate it. I hate it. So that would be one nation, not one nation under God. It would be e pluribus unum, I believe, or would it be one nation? Wait a minute. E pluribus unum's only on coins. In God, that's right. In God we trust. Not one nation under God. In God we trust. Okay. E pluribus unum is only on coins. All right. All right. What words are required by? Okay, we already said that one. The Supreme Court is the chief lawmaking body of a state. False. Okay. False. 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 Absolutely false. That would be the legislature. All right, moving on. If a law passed by a state is contrary to provisions of the U.S. Constitution, which law prevails? The U.S. Constitution prevails. The U.S. Constitution prevails. That is the law of supremacy or the rule of supremacy, federal supremacy. Okay, yeah. If vacancy occurs in the U.S. Senate, the state must hold an election. But meanwhile, Jesus Christ, the place may be filled by a temporary appointment made by the governor of the state from which that person comes. Okay. And I think it depends on the state. I think some states say the legislature, I think it's governor overall though. Okay. Or at least maybe in some states, the legislature has to confirm it. Okay. All right. So, a U.S. senator is elected for a term of 7 years. No, I'm sorry, 6 years? 6 years, right? Okay, 6 years. A U.S. senator is elected for a term of 6 years. And then appropriation of money for the armed services can only be for a period limited to I don't know. Because they've actually changed that pretty recently too. Because they needed to make it more. So I don't know what it was at the time. Okay. I don't know what it was at the time. So because that changed pretty recently too. They can basically do it whenever now. They can basically give some money to them whenever they want. Okay. Yeah, SoCal every year the budget has to be done. Correct. Okay. But I don't know what would be the answer. What was the answer at the time? Was it the same at the time? I don't know if it was because they some of these things they've changed. All right. So the chief executive and administrative offices make up the executive branch of government. Who passes laws dealing with piracy? Congress. I don't know who else would do that. That would be Congress passes laws made up with piracy. I mean, regarding piracy, that's their job. They pass laws. Okay. The number of representatives which a state is entitled to have in the House of Representatives is based off population. Population. That's the number. Well, in theory, this is actually a lie. because every state get, even states that are way too small to have one rep, they still get a rep. So it's in theory it's population, but it doesn't really work. Okay. Um, okay, Israel just did piracy off Crete, that's for sure. Okay. So the Constitution protects an individual. I'm sorry. Okay, the Constitution protects an individual against punishments which are cruel and unusual. Okay, correct. It doesn't include untaxed Native Americans. Correct. Which are cruel and unusual. All right. That's in theory, but of course we do it all the time. When a jury has heard and rendered a verdict in a case, and the judgment on that verdict has become final, the defendant cannot again be brought to trial. Let me say that, read that again. When a jury has heard and rendered a verdict in a case, the judgment on the verdict has become final. The defendant cannot be brought to trial again for the same cause. True. That's called double jeopardy. You can't be tried twice for the same crime. However, there is an appeals process. So this question is complicated because there is an appeals process. So you can take that decision up to a higher court, but you can't have that same court. You can't have that same court do the same thing again, if that makes sense. So yes, double jeopardy, right? I'm trying not to look at what you're saying because it'll make me steal your answers if I see them. I'll try to only look after I've answered them. Okay, so name 2 levels of government which can levy taxes. The state and federal governments can levy taxes. Communism was a type of government in, oh my God, Russia, but that's stupid. That's very stupid. Okay, very stupid. Cases tried before a court of law are 2 types, civil and criminal. Okay, civil and criminal court. By a majority vote of the members of Congress, the Congress can change provisions of the, by a majority vote of members of Congress, the Congress can change provisions of the, no, it's not just majority. You need, I think, it's either 2/3 or 3/4 of Congress in order to change the Constitution. Yeah, okay, 2/3, not 3/4, 2/3. All right. Okay, so that's false. All right. For security, each state has a right to form a militia. Okay, so it's a militia, which is today is called the National Guard. So for security, each state has a right to form a militia. All right. The electoral vote for president is counted in the presence of 2 bodies. That would be the Senate and the House of Reps. Okay. If no candidate for president receives a majority of the electoral vote, okay, if no candidate for president receives a majority of the electoral vote, who decides who will become president? Well, oh God, I know this. That would be, I believe it's Congress. Congress decides who becomes president if a majority, no one receives a majority, right? I think specifically, I can't remember specifically the House or the Senate. It's probably the House. Okay, probably the House. Is it the House? Yes, it's the House. Okay. Elevator lady, if you're right, the USSR hadn't fallen, right? Okay. Yeah, that's true. Yes, but guys, that was after this time period. So yeah, after Bush v. Gore, they established a precedent that it would be the the Supreme Court, but alas, that was way after this. Okay. All right. If the original 13 states, the one with the largest representation in Congress was Virginia. Okay, I believe that would have been Virginia. Virginia was the largest state at the time. Everyone loved Virginia, apparently. Okay. So of which branch of government is the Speaker of the House a part? That's a really stupid question, by the way. Who cares who the one with the most reps were at the beginning of the country? Okay. Of which branch of government is the Speaker of the House a part? Okay. That would be the legislative. Okay. Capital punishment is the giving of a death sentence. Yes. Yes. That is really weirdly phrased. Yeah, but that's weirdly phrased. Yes. Okay. Okay. Um, like the giving of a death sentence, or like the actual killing someone. Okay, it's just weirdly phrased. Okay. In the case, yeah, it's weird. No, it's weird because of how they said the giving of a death sentence as opposed to like actually executing. It doesn't matter. Okay. Um, in the case, in case the president is unable to perform the duties of his office, who assumes them? Well, that's easy. That's the vice president. Involuntary servitude is permitted in the U.S. upon conviction of a crime. Yep. Yay! 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 Of course it is. When the amendment that ended slavery, the 13th Amendment, had a provision that said slavery is illegal except as punishment for a crime, and this is weirdly progressive that they actually asked this question here. Okay, which is funny to me. Okay, so yep, nope, we never really ended slavery. It's still done today in prisons. If a state is a party to a case, the Constitution provides that original jurisdiction what? If a state is a party to a case, the Constitution provides that original jurisdiction shall be in what? In the state. In the state? Like what? That's weird. But okay, wait a minute though. If it's a federal, okay, this is confusing. If a state is party to a case, the Constitution, but like, what's the other party? If the other party is the federal government against a state, would it not be the federal government that holds jurisdiction of where, like, what do they mean? Where it's held? You see what I mean? This is a really weird, very complicated. But I think this would probably be a federal court. I'm guessing if it's like a federal thing. Okay, I'll say federal court. I'm not sure. Okay, it'll be some kind of federal court. But I don't know. But that's the thing though, guys. If it's like two states that are arguing with each other, right? Okay. But that's, we don't know who the other party is. So I guess to an extent, I'd say, I mean, it's definitely would be where the state, if it's one state, then it'd be where the state, you see what I mean? Okay. No, it says if a state is party to a case. So I'm guessing, okay, whatever. That's a weirdly phrased one. So I guess it would be in that state, right? All right. We have 13 district, we 30. Okay. Congress passes laws regulating cases which are included in those over which the U.S. Supreme Court has Congress passes laws regulating cases which are included in those over which the U.S. Supreme Court has, I guess, supreme jurisdiction, ultimate jurisdiction, final jurisdiction. Written cases which are included in those over which the U.S. Supreme Court has final jurisdiction. I'm not sure. I really don't know. I really don't know. Okay. Yeah, that's a dumb question. Yeah, it does, Matt. It's like, I'll be okay, though. Which of the following is a right guaranteed by the Bill of Rights of the U.S. Constitution? Trial by jury. That'd be trial by jury. You are not guaranteed housing, education, or voting. Okay, it's a very strange question. All right. The legislatures of the states decide how presidential electors may be chosen. Correct. Okay, so presidential electors are chosen by the states legislatures. Okay, which is stupid. We should get rid of it. We should totally get rid of the electoral college. If it were proposed to join Alabama and Mississippi to form one state, what groups would have to vote in order for this approval to be done? So that would have to be the legislature of those two states, and that would have to be the U.S. Congress. Now, I'm not sure if the U.S. Congress would, yeah, okay, yeah. I'm not sure, like, if they mean, well, I'll just say that Congress and the state. Yeah. Okay. So the vice president presides over the Senate. The vice president presides over the Senate. All right. The Constitution limits the size of the District of Columbia. I don't fucking know. What's the size of the District of Columbia? I know that that has, I don't know the exact size of the District of Columbia. This is a stupid question. Okay. And I hate it. Okay. So this member is meant to limit people's ability to know. Yeah, I don't know. What is the size of the District of Columbia? The fuck if I know. It's a certain size, whatever. Okay. Anyone know the answer to that? Okay. Yeah, there you go. Right. Okay. So the only laws which can be passed to apply to an area in a federal arsenal are those passed by what? This is insane. Okay. The only laws which can be passed to apply to an area in a federal arsenal are those passed by Congress, provided consent for the purchase of land is given by the state legislature, the state, I'm guessing. I'm guessing this is 10 square miles. There you go. Okay. So I'm guessing that has to be passed by Congress, but it has to be, the state has to give consent for it. Insane. Okay. This is bizarre. In which document or writing is the Bill of Rights found? That would be the Constitution of the United States. That's obvious. Okay. Of which branch of government is the Supreme Court justice a part? That would be the judicial branch. The judicial branch. Okay. All right. If no person receives a majority of the electoral votes, we get it now. We get it. I'm going to go down here. There are a lot of questions. This is supposed to be 10 minutes. You know what's funny, guys, is that this as a teacher here, you would never give a 68 question test in 10 minutes. That is impossible. Okay, that is absolutely impossible. Now, I will ask, are they expected to answer all these questions? Because I suspect that I don't think they would have been. I don't think, I could be wrong. I think they were allowed to choose a certain number of these questions. Okay, so they would choose a certain number of these questions and then have to answer them in 10 minutes. I don't think they made them do all 68, because from what I recall historically, but you can see that they could, yeah, but what my point here is that they could pick and choose which ones they wanted to ask out of this. I could be wrong. Let me double check here, okay? 1965 literacy test. Let's take a look here. All right. No, I can't find where it says what the procedures were for the test. So, okay, okay. Let me explain, guys. I thought this was the issue. That was not the literacy test. That was the question they would ask to Black folks who came to the office to register to vote. This is the literacy test. This is the literacy test, okay? That was not the literacy test because that doesn't test literacy, okay? So the one we just watched, okay, was not the literacy test. That was a civics test, and that was the one they would give verbally in the office. So when you were to go to a office to register to vote as a Black person, they would ask you those questions. These, though, the literacy test is separate, and that's what this thing is, okay? Okay. So, and they might have been different. Different states may have done something differently. Okay. So this, like, here we go. Like, draw a line around a number or letter of this sentence, right? Okay. Okay. All right, cross out the longest word in this line, okay? Draw a line around the second. Okay, so, and this, some people may have had to take them both. I need to remind myself. So for the literacy test issue, so I guess, okay, so I guess that also, they're both literacy tests. They're both literacy tests. Yes. So, okay, literally, guys, the white office elections officer administering and reviewing the test might have chosen any or all of the questions for you to answer. So, literally, you didn't have to answer all 68. They could have asked you as many as they wanted to. Okay. So they could ask you all 68 if they wanted to. It may be that those are two different tests, that they may have had one at one point and one at the other. But yeah, that's not easy. That's not easy. Okay. All right. So imagine if like a white person came in, you might be like, oh, here, you can only have to answer one question, and they'd make you answer the easiest one. Okay. All right. All right, guys. So I am going to go because I don't feel good. So forgive me. I may come back on later if I start feeling better, but there is something going on. I don't know what it is. So forgive me. Give me a second. I'm going to put on my face. All right. So forgive me, guys. If I may come back on a bit later. I need to figure out what's going on. And then if I don't come back on later, I will come on tomorrow as normal. Okay. So, okay. I'll be back, guys. Love you all very much. Again, I'll come back on in a bit if I can. So keep an eye out. Please join the Discord if you haven't already. It's linked at the top of the Twitch chat and the bottom of the YouTube chat. Okay. So I will see you all later.